Very good afternoon, distinguished professionals in packaging and sustainability, academicians, researchers, students, ladies and gentlemen. Our chief guest, Professor M. Sharma, Padma Vibhushan awardee, distinguished emeritus professor and eminence, and former director, Institute of Chemical Technology. Our guest of honor, Shri R. Rashmi, retired IAS, former Chief Secretary, Manipur, and Dr. U. Venkateshwarlu, retired IAS, former Chief Secretary, Tirupura, will be joining soon. Some of our guests have already joined us, waiting for a few more guests to join, and so our launch program will start at 3:30 p.m. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be starting our program in next 2 to 3 minutes. Well, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host for the day. My name is Shaina Khan, and it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the launch program of Foundation for Innovative Packaging and Sustainability. So, as I start, I would like to make an announcement to all the participants that there is a applause button. The participants may kindly click the button and applause virtually. Today is a very auspicious day for all professionals dealing with packaging and sustainability in India as well as abroad. Probably this would be the first non government, non profit organization in India as Foundation for Innovative Packaging and Sustainability, which will be launched today at the hand of our chief guest. Professor M. Sharma, Padma Vibhushan Awardee, Distinguished Emeritus Professor in Eminence and former Director, Institute of Chemical Technology, then UDCT, with the gracious presence of our two guest of honor, Mr. Rajni Ranjan Rashmi, retired IAS and former Chief Secretary, Manipur, and Dr. U. Venkateshwarlu, retired IAS and former Chief Secretary, Tripura. Most importantly, at this new normal situation after pandemic, this is the launch program is being organized virtually. I am so happy to announce here that about 200 participants from India, Sri Lanka, Dubai, UAE, Bangladesh, Switzerland, and USA have registered to attend this launch program. You all will agree with me that this is the modern world, this is the age of packaging. Our daily life starts and ends with packaging only. In fact, we do touch, feel, and enjoy with beautiful packages in every moment. Moreover, importance of packaging has been further realized by all of us during the pandemic, where all of us are very much concerned about hygienic and safe packaged food. Consider the importance of this subject. Professor Dr. N.C. Saha has conceptualized the idea for the formation of Foundation for Innovative Packaging and Sustainability, FIPS, with his two professional colleagues, Professor A.K. Ghosh from IIT Delhi and M.K. Banerjee, former Director Innovation, SL Propack Limited towards research, skills development and policy advocacy in the field of packaging and sustainability. Now I have a great pleasure to introduce our founder, chairman, and director, Packaging Technology, Industry Relationship and Publication, Professor Dr. N.C. Saha, who is internationally acclaimed professional in packaging science and technology with 33 years of rich experience. He has worked for 32 years, including of 10 years as director and principal executive officer at Indian Institute of Packaging, India's premier institute in packaging under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Government of India. He is Master in Food Technology from CFTRI Mysore and PhD in Packaging Management, alumni of School of Packaging, MSU, USA, and known for his accomplishment in the field of food packaging with a patent to his credit. He was the Vice President of World Packaging Organization and Secretary General of Asian Packaging Federation. At present, he is involved to India Biomass Project as Senior Technical Advisor, initiated by Embassy of the Royal Government Netherlands, Chairman of 5 section committees of Bureau of India Standards and Chairman, Foundation of Innovative Packaging and Sustainability. May I now invite Professor Dr. N.C. Saha with a round of applause for his welcome address.
Very good afternoon. Today is another historical day for the entire packaging fraternity to our country, as the first foundation in packaging and sustainability is going to be launched today at the hands of our honorable chief guest to serve the industry, mainly MSME, startup, researchers who are involved to packaging science and technology, and the academicians, scientists, and NGO dealing with sustainability towards circular economy system to be implemented in our country for the greener environment. I am delighted to announce here that the more than 350 participants have already been registered. As Ms. Saina was talking about, 200 persons have already been joined, but I am told that 370 people have already registered from India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Netherlands, South Africa, Switzerland, and USA who will be joining very soon to this program. I feel proud and honored to warmly welcome to our most respected chief guest, Professor M.M. Sharma, Padma Vibhushan awardee, the distinguished emeritus professor of eminence and former director of Institute of Chemical Technology, then UDCT Mumbai, and our guest of honor, Mr. Rajini Ranjan Rashmi, the retired IAS, former Chief Secretary, Manipur, and Dr. U. Venkateshwarlu, the retired IAS, former Chief Secretary, Tripura. Our two distinguished plenary speakers, Mr. Chit Ranjan Dhar, the former CEO, ITC Food, and Professor Chris Bruens, the Managing Director, Netherlands Institute of Sustainable Packaging from Hague, Netherlands, who have also joined with us in this auspicious occasion. I also welcome to our esteemed guests from reputed government universities and institutions who have signed a memorandum of understanding, and we are extremely thankful to all our esteemed guests for their kind presence and blessings today to witness the launch program of this foundation. Dr. Arun Kumar Sharma, the Director General, the Northeast Center of Technology Application and Reach, NACTER, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, Mrs. Glory Sharupa, the Director General, National Institute of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise, NIMSME, Hyderabad, Professor Sabu Thomas, the Vice Chancellor, University of Mahatma Gandhi of University, Kottayam, Kerala, Professor G.D. Sharma, the Vice Chancellor, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya, Dr. Anil Wali, the Managing Director, Foundation for Innovation Technology Transfer of IIT Delhi, and Dr. H.S. Jadhav, the Director, Northeastern Regional Institute for Science and Technology, NERIST, Arunachal Pradesh, who have kindly signed the MOU with our foundation, and also they are present today in this launch program. I also welcome to our distinguished special guest, Professor Ashok Mishra, the former director of IIT Mumbai and NASI Distinguished Professor, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, Professor Siddharth Panda, IIT Kanpur, professor from IIT Delhi, IIT Guwahati, and of course from IIT Kanpur. The industry stalwarts like Mr. Subodh Gupta, the chairman, Mr. P.R. Bantwal, the vice chairman of Indian Institute of Packaging, Mr. Anuradha Jaisinghe, the president, Sri Lanka Institute of Packaging, Mr. Sanjay Bhatia, the president, Metal Container Manufacturers Association, Mr. Arvind Mehta, the chairman, governing council, All India Plastic Manufacturers Association, IFMA, Mr. Surinder Chaudhary, the All India Flat Tap Manufacturer Association, Dr. Subodh Jindal, All India Food Processor Manufacturer Association, Mr. Mihir Banerjee, the past president, Indian Plastic Institute, Mr. S.K. Ray, the Honorary Secretary, ICP, the Rakesh Bhai, Sunil Jain, and all my close friends from packaging industry who has joined here to support this foundation. I'm also grateful to Ashok Chaturvedi, the Chairman and Managing Director of UFlex Group, and Mr. Ashok Goel, the mentor, SL Group of Industries, and Mr. Suresh Gupta, the former Managing Director of PPL Huhtamaki, who have kindly blessed to start this foundation. I also welcome our board of advisors, the thought leaders, the researchers, the faculty from colleges and universities, the industry friends, students, participants, press, media, ladies and gentlemen. Indian packaging industry is considered to be the sunrise industry and growing at a constant rate of 11 to 12% for the last couple of years and expected to continue the same trend for the next 5 years. This should definitely lead to increase the consumption of packaging material to the consumer's demand and also to the market requirement. But this would result into the accumulation of huge quantity of post-consumer packaging waste with adequate quantity of plastics material. Unfortunately, the post-consumer packaging waste management system in terms of collection, segregation, recycling mechanism have not been properly formulated and implemented in a systematic manner in our country till date, which has caused littering problem and environmental concern. This situation has now created an immediate attention for more research to develop innovative, biodegradable, natural resource-based alternative material or as a composite structure to achieve this sustainable solution and to commercialize this material through startup or the leading packaging converting industry and also to generate the employment in the country. In addition, the skill development in packaging and sustainability is also required at different level of the society to increase the awareness about the need of sustainable packaging material, to inspire the self-help women group, to motivate them for the ethnic foods to be packed in an innovative package design for the domestic and export market. In order to identify the gap and also to how to fill up the gap in the packaging research, the technology and skill development, I, along with Dr. Anup Ghosh, the professor IIT Delhi, and Mr. M.K. Banerjee, the ex-director, SL Propac, took this initiative to establish this foundation as a non-government, non-profit organization registered under Section 8(1) of the Companies Act 2013 with the objective of innovation, sustainability, translate the packaging research from the laboratory scale to the industry for commercialization, skill development and policy advocacy, and of course, publication. However, we are very much fortunate to have the concurrence two eminent personality as a mentors who are our guest of honor today. In addition, we do have 3 national and 2 international advisors, 3 thought leaders, and most importantly, 4 chief consultants who have got enormous experience on their particular field, more than 30 years, who are closely working with us to fulfill our mission. I am pleased to introduce the entire team of FIPS. The slide, please. These are the 3 directors. The next, we have 2 mentors, Dr. U. Venkateshwarlu, the former Chief Secretary, Government of Tripura. We have 3 advisors, Dr. Lakshmi Raghupati, the former Director, Ministry of Forest, and Professor Praduna Vyas, the former Director of National Institute of Design, Dr. Anil Wali, the Managing Director of FITT IIT Delhi. We got 2 international advisors, one from Bangladesh and one from Sri Lanka. Next. And 3 thought leaders, one Avijit Chaudhary from US, the Tamilian Nagalingam, who is from Chennai, Deepak Mehta from Baroda. He is on the recycling machinery, on plastic machinery manufacturer. Next. And we got 4 chief consultants, Rahul Bhargav on innovation, Shailendra Singh on sustainability, Subhash Bhattacharjee on training, and Deepak Manchanda on package design. So with this, we feel that with this such an esteemed team of FIPS, we are moving ahead with a specific goal and vision. And it is our belief and trust our mission will be fulfilled through our dedicated efforts and continued support from all of you by engaging us in your endeavor to you wherever you feel necessary with us. finally, I would like to express my sincere thanks the entire team of FIPS for their relentlessly work for the last 6 months to make this event a grand success. With this, I once again welcome our chief guest, our guest of honor, the esteemed guest, the special guest, and the participants who have taken out their time from their busy schedule and attend this launch program to witness to make this event a grand success. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. May I request our chief guest, guest of honor, special guest, invitees, FIPS, teams, and delegates to join with me for lightning the auspicious lamp virtually.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. Now I take the opportunity to introduce the another pillar of this foundation, Professor Dr. Anup K. Ghosh, Director, Training, Research and Development and Promotions, who is the distinguished and renowned professor for 3 decades in the polymer science and engineering at Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, India. He is known for his accomplishment in the field of polymer processing and rheology, 3D printing of polymers and polymer packaging, and microcellular processing of polymeric material with 12 patents to his credit. He is MTech in Chemical Engineering from IIT Kanpur and PhD from State University of New York, USA. He is a fellow of National Academy of Science, India, President-elect Polymer Processing Academy and Member Research Advisor Board, DST, Government of India. Professor Ghosh will highlight about the activities of this foundation. Therefore, I would request Professor Ghosh to please address the gathering. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and chief guest of the program, Professor M. Sharma, our guest of honors, Sri Rajni Ranjan Rashmi, and Dr. Venkateshwaralu, our members of our board of directors, my colleagues, my eminent members of the advisory board, chief consultants, and thought leaders of our foundation, with whom we have moved ahead with lots of our activities, specific goals, and mission. I would I would like to say that we are extremely happy to move ahead with the activities of the Foundation for Innovation and Innovative Packaging and Sustainability to share the acquired knowledge and expertise to provide service to the community and industries through various activities for the overall growth of the society. I share a lot of responsibility with my fellow directors in terms of training, education, and research, and we would like to focus on that as our journey begins today with this foundation. As Professor Saha was narrating, the objective of our foundation is to promote and work with target beneficiaries and communities through carefully curated programs with many aims. Some of them are building aspiration and motivation for non-cognitive skills and digital aptitude, providing technical and non-technical exposure to enhance learning and thus offer plethora of opportunities, enabling an ecosystem of curiosity, information, knowledge, and support to make them self-reliant through residential and non-residential engagements, and striving to achieve economic prosperity, improvement in livelihood, and poverty reduction with the backwards communities. Especially, we are emphasizing on many areas where these activities can be taken up. I have put together a slide with different activities that we are taking. I have put together into quadrangle of 4, and as you can see that they will constitute 4 specific areas. One is the skill development program, the other one is research and innovation, and the project and entrepreneurship, and publication and policy advocacy. We have a large number of activities. Can you move on with the slide? Can you move? Yes. So under the skill development program, what we are taking it forward is what we call it collaborative training and education program. As we will see later in the part of the program with our activities, that we have already undertaken number of collaborative training and education and skill development program with the institutions in various regional areas of India, especially also emphasizing in the northeastern region, where many universities have come forward, and will be also moving ahead with various organizations to take up these activities. We want to make our foundation as a knowledge platform for both industry and community. We want to bring awareness program to bridge industry and environment, which is the key point right now to take up many challenges. We want to see through the skill development program that we upgrade skills and knowledge, especially for women and youth of different communities, where it is basic necessity is there, and we can provide that assistance. And we want to be supporting that under Skill India mission to make self-reliant for many people who can take these activities forward or will be benefited for the career opportunities. Next. We, in the part of research and innovation, we are emphasizing more and more on collaborative research on packaging solution as our foundation is focus is. And we have already identified many organizations and universities who have come forward, where we have started taking, and the seed of this collaborative research has already been built, and that will be also announced. We also want to take research and develop activities in many areas. I've given some of the areas like new generation materials for packaging, new process technologies, so also related to sustainability as we have to bring together. We should be able to support industries with innovative packaging solution, package design services and solutions, and hopefully we can help in building either it is a technology center or center of excellences in many institutions where we can bring forth this kind of collaborative research together. As a part of project and entrepreneurship, next, please. We will be also emphasizing more on translational R&D, which is a basic need now. So move a lot of innovations from the lab to the commercialization. And we want to take a forward step in this direction. We will be working on industrial projects on packaging of products. We would like to also help startup companies with packaging design and development and sustainability. We need to tie up with many institutions and also bring forth the cutting edge technologies for conversion of packaging waste into value added product. This will be also one of our main key areas. But also more importantly, the one of the areas which we think that we can contribute more, next please, which we call it the publication and policy advocacy, so that we through the conferences, documentation and workshops that we can undertake, we can have publication of those research and documentation of that. We also, from our members, that's what our thought leaders, consultants, we have teamed up in such a way that they will be working on report, giving on regulatory compliance and product standards, a report of framework for circular economy, and publication in quality improvement program. Also, we can also take step forward for the design advocacy and the policy support. And that's why we would like to work with the collaboration with many institutions and organizations and as an independent body, where we can serve as a policy advocacy partner for many government and all the required organizations. Next slide, please. In terms of our academic program, what I put together as a part of the foundation, what I call it as a kite modules. This is our kite modules for our foundation. K stands for the knowledge platform. So we should be able to provide through this platform, through our documentation, through our website, which will be available for many people, everybody, and which will be launched today. Many different aspects of packaging concepts, classification, materials, functions, research and innovation, recyclability, life cycle analysis, circular economy, and sustainability. We would like to make it as an information package storage house for required data sheets, the type, brands, and machineries that will be available, that you can come as a one window foundation where you can get all this information. And nonetheless, that we will be emphasizing more on training and education program. And this will be in the area of basic training program. We can go to very low level, and where elementary level, we can also move to advanced training program, and we'll be have a customized in-house training program and the entrepreneurship training program. We call it, and I think as like a kite, we'll take this module and flying high as the foundation begins its activities from now. Next, please. So this is our endeavor, to provide packaging industry with innovation, technology, knowledge, and human resources, because we know that we need the knowledge-based personnels in this field. There is a dearth. There is not many institution is providing the human resource development program in packaging area especially. We have many areas in top institutions in our country and many countries, but we must need to focus on that, and we will have one of our aim. We will focus on technology development, technology initiatives. As I said, that coordination among R&D programs, international collaboration. We like to simulate what is the resource efficiency vis-a-vis recyclability. Most probably the sustainability through life cycle analysis can provide that. And we like to take it forward based on some of our consultant and thought leaders. They have put together their ideas for developing packaging in the context of the fourth industrial revolution, where all the industry is moving forward. With this, I like to summarize our activities in this manner. We are moving ahead with our specific goal and vision like this, and we look forward to our continued support from all our members and our industrial members, our institution and educational collaboration to move ahead with this. Thank you very much for your attention for this program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I have a great pleasure now to introduce our guest of honor for this event, Dr. U. Venkateshwarlu. He is a senior IAS officer of 1986 batch Tripura, Manipur, Kardar, with decades of experience in general administration, planning, and statistics. He has served in many senior positions in different ministries, including food processing, industry, government of India. Implemented various Model Agriculture University Act in government of Andhra Pradesh. Instrumental for setting up agriculture college and college of veterinary science in Tripura. Finally, he was superannuated as Chief Secretary Tripura. He is also the mentor of our foundation. Currently, he is settled in Hyderabad. I would now request Dr. U. Venkateshwarlu, sir, to please address the gathering.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir. Over to you.
Yeah. Good
Thank
afternoon.
you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon to all of you, friends. To Professor M.M. Sharma and guest of honor Sri Rashmi, and all the other dignitaries, distinguished participants, electronic media, and ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, it's my pleasure to participate in today's virtual curtain raiser program for new foundation for innovative packaging and sustainability, henceforth FIPS. In fact, this is likely to address future packaging innovations of various sectors, along with policy advocacy, entrepreneurship, along with packaging and development of packaging, startups in packaging, skill development, and appropriate technology development for packaging, particularly for sustainable packaging, including training. It is also my pleasure to inform that few reputed institutions from length and breadth of this country have enthusiastically came forward to partner with this foundation. I am sure with this partnership institutions and their and our combined initiative, the respective geographies would benefit a lot, and in due course of time, the country as a whole. In fact, all of you know very well that research in packaging is very important. Before that, packaging is nothing but presentation of a product to the consumer in more attractive manner, in a safe manner, and durable manner, and duration manner. So to keep all these 4 or 5 important aspects, research is utmost essential. Therefore, research is required to be done enormously. As a matter of fact, in our country, research has taken very, very low spend by historically. Therefore, there is a need not only for packaging sector, all other sectors to enhance research contribution, particularly in packaging also it is so. Therefore, increasing focus on the research side will give sufficient ideas to export our various products, particularly raw materials. Presently, the country as a whole, we are exporting raw materials in a raw shape. So therefore, to export a processed product, you require to have proper processing, not only processing, coupled with the appropriate packaging so that it lasts long. And by developing appropriate packaging technologies to export the processed products, both in agriculture or otherwise, it will help not only the local community there, it will also develop the entrepreneurship, it will also encourage the startups, it will also provide employment opportunities, and also in due course of time, it will also give more foreign exchange in a length of time, not immediately. Therefore, it is an important and emerging sector in the country today. And I'm sure it's this sort of foundation, at least I have not heard. So therefore, it will really give a good benefit to the industry as well as to the partnership institutions and vice versa, and public at large and the community at large. So with this, I conclude my speech saying that we as a community, all of us together with the efforts of everyone in the foundation, experts, and also the foundation members, directors, will take forward this initiative further in a beneficial manner to the public at large, society at large. Thank you very much for the foundation and all to the participant listening to me. Thanks.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
madam.
much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, FIPS team has taken a great initiative to publish the first white paper, which is collection of views and advices of distinguished experts in their respective field of expertise to cover packaging and sustainability. May I invite sir to release the first white paper. Participants can click the button and applause virtually.
Yeah, okay.
So let's do it on the countdown of 3, 2, 1.
Good.
So release of white paper. Thank you. Thank you so much. I shall now request Mr. Deepak Manchanda, Chief Consultant, FIPS Packaging Design, who has made the design concept of this white paper. He is having more than 40 years experience in packaging. During his career, he started his journey from Metal Box India and then head of packaging development at Dabur India, Ranbaxy Limited and Oriflame Silver Oak.
Thank you for that.
I would request Mr. Manchanda, sir, to please come forward and highlight about the important aspect of white paper. Over to you, sir.
Thank you and good afternoon to everyone here. Thank you, Dr. Venkateswarlu, for releasing the first edition of the FIPS white paper. We are honored that the white paper contains a message from you as a distinguished mentor of the FIPS. You have rightly pointed out that our Northeast states could easily cater to the Southeast Asian countries' fruit and vegetable demand with packaging. This white paper has been conceived as a public document outlining the vision and strategy of the members of the FIPS for the further development of packaging in India. It is a 52-page document containing 16 articles on varied aspects of packaging. We have titled the white paper as Unbox Another Side of Packaging. This is because we believe that packaging is no longer just about containment or marketing communication or distribution logistics. Over the past some years, awareness has grown about another side of packaging, which is the need for sustainable, responsible, and reusable or recyclable packaging. This is the new term of circular economy that we hear of nowadays amidst the talk of environmental pollution and climate change. It is truly another side of packaging that the industry and brand owners are having to acknowledge. As a result, in this white paper, you will find the above perspectives about packaging along with the aspects of packaging research, training, skilling, and design. We are delighted that our mentor and guest of honor here, Shri Rajani Ranjan Rashmi, has pointed out sustainability and climate change must drive future packaging development. The white paper contains an overview and SWOT analysis of the Indian packaging industry by Dr. N.C. Saha. The role of education and R&D in packaging has been outlined by Dr. Anup Ghosh, Director FIPS. Mr. Mrinal Ghosh has written about how India is best placed to produce local and market global. Our advisor, Dr. Mrs. Lakshmi Raghupati, has written how recyclable packaging is a move towards ushering in a circular economy. Professor Pradmanya Vyas, former director NID, has stressed how India needs to put India in its packaging. Dr. Anil Wali, MD FITT at Delhi, has suggested how innovations need wider dissemination in the packaging sector. Our distinguished advisor from Bangladesh, Shri Safiullah Chaudhry, has written about the opportunities for the Bangladesh packaging industry. Our thought leader from the industry, Mr. Deepak Mehta, has written Reduce, Reuse, Recover, Recycle, and Recreate can change the perception about plastics. Shri Tamil Manyam Nagalingam, our thought leader from Chennai, has written Managing India's bio-waste could be the secret of India's energy needs. On the other hand, our thought leader from the US, Shri Abhijit Chaudhary, has suggested improving efficiency of Indian manufacturing by analyzing best international practices from the US could be significant. From another perspective, our sustainability mantra consultant has written, the key word in a circular economy is economy. This is by Mr. Shailendra Singh. The potential of packaged exotic fresh produce from Northeast has been highlighted by our chief consultant from the Northeast, Mr. Subhash Bhattacharjee. Mr. Rahul Bhargav, chief consultant innovation, has touched upon rising demand for product safety, precision, and reproducibility of packaging. As for me, in my role here as consultant packaging design, my question here is India's emerging startup sector adequately served by packaging design? On behalf of the FIPS team, I urge you to kindly download the FIPS white paper from the website www.f-ips.org and go through all the informative material and suggestions that are contained in it. We would love to hear from you and we look forward to compiling a second edition as we move along together on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a great pleasure to introduce our another guest of honor, Mr. Rajni Ranjan Rashmi. a senior IAS officer of 1985 batch of Manipur cadre with decades of experience in policy making and public work. He is an expert on climate change and related environmental issues and policy. He received the Prime Minister's Award for Excellence in Public Administration of his work on reform in the area of financial administration of the state. He was India's principal negotiator for climate change before and after the Paris Agreement. He was superannuated as Chief Secretary, Manipur, and now he holds the position of a distinguished fellow in the Energy of Resource Institute, work as an independent environmental think tank in New Delhi. He is also the mentor of FIPS. I would now request Mr. Rashmi sir to please address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm clearly audible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, let me wish Happy New Year to all of you and respected Professor Sharma, the chief guest of today's function, Dr. Saha, who is the brain behind the entire foundation, the distinguished directors, advisors, consultants, and participants in today's launch of this foundation. I'm so glad to be associated with this foundation and be a part of this launch ceremony here. Dr. Saha has put in a lot of effort in creating this institution, and I must compliment him and his entire team of advisors and the excellent academicians, the industry experts, and the practitioners. He has been able to bring them together on this very important issue of innovation and research in packaging. As the title of the foundation suggests, there are two important pillars here. One pillar is the innovation, the other pillar is sustainability. While the experts and the researchers and the scientists and the industry experts may like to talk about the the innovation part, I would like to stress the sustainability part, which is going to be one of the central components of the work of this foundation. Any research, any scientific research or industrial research will remain incomplete, and in fact will perhaps be weakened in its future growth if it doesn't meet also the goals of sustainability. As Dr. Saha was pointing out, packaging is the sunrise industry. It is one of the fastest growing sectors of our economy, but it also means that it is one of the largest consumers of resources in our economy. And the pressure on already stressed and limited resources leads to not only to depletion of the resources, but also environmental degradation. But that is something which industry needs to be concerned about, but industry needs help. They need help of the scientists and the researchers, the academicians and the innovators to be able to maintain the productivity while reducing the environmental damage. And if we want to preserve the future of our next generations and also ensure that the industry continues to grow, we must tweak our model of development and reverse this over-reliance on fossil fuel-based natural resource consumption. This also is one of the problems with our packaging industry, and we will have to find ways of resolving this issue. It is therefore the social, I would say, three different types of responsibilities: the social, the economic, and the environmental responsibility of the industry to internalize the environmental goals in their investment and business decisions. And how do they do it? I mean, they have the resources with them, they have the financial resources, but they don't have the academic and the scientific inputs available with them. And it is here that the foundation can perhaps help them in their sustained growth with efficient use of resources and minimum negative impacts on environment. As Mr. Manchada was pointing out, and then Mr. Shailendra Singh has pointed out the circular economy, the resource efficiency are going to be key in the future growth of the packaging industry. We will need to extract the maximum value from our resource consumption. Uh, uh, we have to recover and regenerate the products and materials at the end of their service life. And this can be achieved only if the packaging industry applies the principle of circularity across the whole supply and the value chain, from the design right up to disposal. So, so this requires that the industry innovates in the product design as well as materials. And soon it will be realized that it is necessary to do so not only to protect environment, but also survive and compete with the other emerging industries that are going to be, compete with the packaging industry. And India has very ambitious goals for fighting climate change, and there and several new programs have been launched for governing the management of waste and resources. The other developed economies have, in fact, gone to the other extreme. They have now begun to show signs of competitive environmentalism in the form of border adjustment of carbon taxes, which is going to hit the industry, all kinds of industry which uses packaging. Uh, the costs are going to go haywire in this situation. So environment is one of the goals, but it's the competitiveness, the survival of the industry is also another major reason why we need to look at the current models of packaging and innovate them, and also help the industry in transform itself. It is time that we act together to meet this challenge, and I'm very happy that this foundation is going to lead the efforts in this direction with the help of academia, research organizations, and stakeholders. And I do hope that with the support of all of you, this foundation will lead the industry into a brighter, more environment friendly and modern future. Thank you very much.
Happy New Year to you as well, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today. I would now request you to open the official website of this foundation. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, there is an applause button. You all can virtually make a huge round of applause. And here is the official website of this foundation. Congratulations to the whole team. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So finally, the wait is over. This is the official website of this foundation.
Very good.
Thank you. I shall now invite Mr. Rahul Bhargava, Chief Consultant Innovations FIPS, a qualified packaging technologist with over 32 years of chronicle success and significant contribution in R&D of pharmaceutical packaging at Sun Pharma, Ranbaxy. Currently, he is ventured into packaging consultancy for technical service for end-to-end pack design. Mr. Rahul Bhargava will highlight the important aspect covered in this website. Therefore, I would request him to please address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, friends. Thank you, Rashmi sir, for having officially opened FIPS website. In today's world, the place where most people across globe go is to the internet. Now, to make it easy for people to find us, read about our foundation, discover what we do, and answer a bunch of questions that you may have, we have designed a very easy to navigate website giving you great experience which works on all devices, laptops or phones.
I will switch on your video.
It's put off actually by the host, I believe. It's put off by the host. And I'll carry on. The homepage of website gives complete information about us, our vision, mission statements, objectives of setting up foundation, services that we offer, and activities that we perform. Another interesting feature is a quick and easy way of communicating and exchanging information so that you find what you want with minimal guesswork or backtracking. Our knowledge platform through news and views section shall have articles from eminent writers, from journals, magazines, will give you information on education programs that we have planned, information on innovation, packaging, sustainability, package design, regulatory compliance, for intellectual experience. I wish happy browsing and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come now to welcome our chief guest. We are all fortunate to have Professor M.M. Sharma, Padma Vibhushan Awardee, Distinguished Emeritus Professor of Eminence and former Director, Institute of Chemical Technology. Professor M.M. Sharma is an Indian chemical engineer educated at Jodhpur, Mumbai, and Cambridge. At the age of 27 years, he was appointed Professor of Chemical Engineering at ICT, then UDCT, Mumbai, and became the Director of Institute. Obtained PhD in Chemical Engineering with VP Dankworth. He was the first Indian engineer to be elected as a Fellow of Royal Society, UK, and was recipient at Leverhulme Medal. Professor Sharma was awarded the Padma Bhushan and the Padma Vibhushan by the President of India. Professor Sharma served in the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Government of India, as Chairman of the SAC and in the SAC to Cabinet and the Prime Minister of India. I would now request our chief guest to address the audience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Guests of honor, Dr. Venkateshwarlu and Sri Rashmi, Professor Saha, Professor Ghosh, I must compliment you for this extraordinary achievement of packaging, the program for packaging. And in fact, you have been very loyal to the I in the Fips because the program that you have drawn itself is pretty innovative. And I wish to congratulate you for bringing out such a comprehensive program like of which I have rarely seen. So my best compliments. And I also wish you best of luck in your performance because this is an area where you can make a dent which everybody in the public can see. packaging is based on high science, technology, and I might add art. I use the word art because the manner in which you package, it is extremely important. Take the case of the parachute oil. When it was square cross section, rodent could attack it. With the round, rodents don't attack. Now, such a small thing which looks ridiculously simple in the retrospect can make a big difference, and you should see the way it is sealed. Now, these are simple innovations which can make a big difference to the consumer. Now, I think our packaging is so intimately connected with our daily life. So I like to dwell upon this for a short while. We begin our day to see the arrival of milk. Now, do you have an alternative for milk other than the sachets? No. Remember, in old days, we used to get in glass bottle. Look at the weight of that. Look at the dangers of that glass bottle falling. Look at the amount of water that you would have required to clean these bottles, because residual milk can ferment and even stink. So even when there was an endeavor to ban packaging for such kind of items, they found there wasn't an alternative, and it was kept intact. You pick up your toothpaste, it is packaged in a plastic tube and not in old days aluminum tube, which is an energy gobbler. Take anything that you have. You use sugar for your tea or coffee, or manner in which the packaged coffee comes. Sometimes even packaged tea comes. Or when you are making something for your breakfast, you need salt. How will you package salt? Remember in old days how salt used to be packaged and how it used to create a mess. Today it comes in a very well packed plastic packaging. It made a world of difference to such a cheap item as salt. So our daily life is very intimately connected with packaging. And innovation packaging are as important as innovation in making the starting material. Sometimes I feel high science can become a villain. I'll tell you why I make such a such a statement. Polyethylene film, the advances that took place in making polyethylene and copolymers, the LLDPE with butene 1 or hexene 1 or octene 1, which were used for packaging, they became thinner, stronger, stronger. They became so thin, still you couldn't pierce it. This is the one which created environment problem. Our guests of honor have emphasized, both Professor Shah and Ghosh emphasized, and I'll dwell upon this subject of how. But I'd like to first pick up PET, polyethylene terephthalate, for packaging. Water is extremely important in our daily life. If we did not have polyester bottles, tell me what else would you have used for mineral water? This item you can find in every forum in India. Fortunately, large-scale collection is easy, and India has the pride of, I think, 80% of PET is recycled. PET is also based on very clean processes, both for terephthalic acid and ethylene glycol. So I consider PET. Now, there is a misconception about many things about PET. Some people have said it as an endocrine disruptor. That is connected with bisphenol A, which goes into polycarbonate. There is no shadow at all of the bisphenol A in polyester. Polyester is based only on terephthalic acid and ethylene glycol. So, these kind of misconceptions that are spread creates unnecessary problems for the packaging industry. And once, when there was a discussion in Plast India, I said, why don't we go and ask housewives, what do they prefer? Will they have glass bottles or will they have PET bottles for various, whether it is for dal, that is lentils, or whether they have it for sugar, whether they have it for, wouldn't they prefer to have, because while a child cries and the mother rushes If the bottle falls and it was of glass, heavy, you will injure yourself. Here, nothing will happen. First of all, the weight is so low. But I want to tell an anecdote which many people do not know. The innovation in PET bottles was ushered by a well-known personality in DuPont called Wyeth. He had 10,000 failures in arriving at a recipe to make PET bottles. And today the world produces more than 60 billion PET bottles. The number may be even higher than this, but this is the last figure I had heard. So, you know, if this innovation had not taken place, we wouldn't have had the PET bottles. So people take many things for granted, not realizing. I'm glad your Fips has given a lot of emphasis on research in, you need research both for the polymeric material, tuned for packaging. 40% of polyethylene goes for packaging, maybe sometime more than 40%. So we will now say something about sustainability, circular economy, which everybody is emphasizing these days. So I gave the example of PET first, where you could see that recyclability is not really a problem because India is very good in collection system. Look at our used newspaper, how well they are collected and what sort of reward we get for selling our used newspapers. PET bottles, because whether it is airport terminals, railway stations, everywhere, hotels, restaurants, it's easy to collect PET bottles and therefore you can recycle. And there are a lot of innovations in recycling. You can make the polyester itself. You can use it for making, coating resins. You can do alkaline hydrolysis, get back terephthalic acid and glycol. Then you have virgin raw materials. The sodium terephthalate is acidified. You get even that sodium sulfate can be concentrated and sold for detergent purposes. All the detergents that you buy for laundry purposes, they have sodium sulfate in them. Few million tons are required in the country. So there is no problem in selling sodium sulfate. So PET recycling has seen so many innovations. I'm emphasizing this because you can look at now what is polyethylene. I'm saying more and more things about polyethylene because packaging and polyethylene, both low density, LDPE, HDPE, all are connected with the packaging in a very, very big way. What is polyethylene? It's like a glorified wax. Don't we burn wax? So there are already semi-commercial plants converting these into a kind of an oil which is sent back to the crackers in the petrochemical industry. In this context, I also want to tell you that everybody is talking a lot about renewable raw materials and all, but please keep in mind that with electric car coming, lot of hydrocarbons would be consigned to make petrochemical. And when you talk of petrochemicals, immediately what comes in your mind is polyethylene, polypropylene, polystyrene. Now, can you find a packaging material better than EPS, the foam polystyrene, expanded polystyrene? How light it is, how easy it is, and that you can recycle this. There is a technology available. Yes, sometimes we shun the known technologies which can be further improved. I know entrepreneurs who have designed plants for cracking polyethylene. The polyethylene comes into a so-called oil, which can be admixtured with the naphtha for naphtha crackers. So there are a number of innovations that will be required in the so-called circular economy. And I have singled out polyethylene, polypropylene. A lot of PVC is going in rigid form. So the question of recycling there is not that important. And the flexible PVC has given room now a lot to polyurethanes and others. But I also want to recollect for a moment, well before plastic polyethylene, polypropylene based BOPP and all came, remember, our packaging used to be done with cellophane. Now, anything based on pulp creates some problem in India because we don't have enough forest coverage. And you keep on hearing about forest area shrinking. notwithstanding many claims that are being made. So when you say alternate material is paper, have you wondered how it is a strain on resources? Are you going to depend upon import of pulp? Two, have you realized what sort of chemicals are used in making paper? Even Xerox paper would have something like more than 20% chemicals that would have been used in making it, and at least 10% are incorporated in the paper, like precipitated calcium carbonate, to give it the weight and the desirable properties for Xeroxing. So paper is often, and many times when you use paper, inside the coating is still of a polymer. Similarly, the jute control order in India, you said there is a requirement, legal requirement for using jute. But the jute packing cannot be done without the inner lining of polyethylene. So, in a way, you are dodging the issue. Now, the same areas where you make jute, value-added products of jute or alternate products, agriculture products to be made is another option. But to say that the jute is an ideal material for packaging is something which will raise questions. As I told you, that when you pack something in a jute bag, you always have a lining. What is that lining made of? So cellophane might have some role to play in coming, but the process of making cellophane, if it is viscose rayon type, it is not environmentally friendly. But if you can do through a solvent process, it will make it more acceptable. So the whole industry of packaging, as I said in the outset, high science, technology, and art. Look at some of the Indian designs that have come in our packaging. I admire them. In fact, sometimes you get attracted to buy a product because you see very outstanding packaging. They say, oh, it has been packaged very well. So packaging is a part of terminology of every individual, because they know that packaging makes a lot. In fact, sometimes we say how we have packaged our lecture notes, or for that matter, how the organizers have packaged their entire program so well. And I once again compliment them. There are many aspects which I can touch upon, but for want of time, I will rather restrict myself to this question which has been raised again and again. We are okay. Please keep in mind that really no new polymer has come for years and years. But the existing polymers have been improved, and improved. I gave the example of polyethylene. Take the example of polypropylene. The transparency in that is such today that many products which used to be made from polystyrene are today in packaging made from polypropylene. And BOPP has become one of the standard films and used very extensively. I remember when the project was to be first launched in India in early 70s, people thought 5,000 tons of BOPP will be too much of a capacity. Just like our first LDPE plant was only 3,000 tons of ICI in Rishra, in Union Carbide in Bombay, and that too based on alcohol, which is another talk that is going on these days, that they use renewable raw materials. India started renewable raw material based polymer industry, not only polyethylene, also polystyrene, because in making ethyl benzene, they use alcohol, acetone, which is used as a solvent in tricell, cellulose triacetate fiber. And we are talking about it again and again. But now alcohol blending into all the alcohol-based industries in India, which made polyethylene, polystyrene, SBR rubber, all are gone. Acetone from alcohol, gone. Acetic acid from alcohol, gone. So it's one thing to talk about renewable raw materials, but there is no substitute for the competition that you have. Competition is very important. And I want to stress once again that with the reduction in the consumption of fuels, and very substantial reduction is forthcoming, I forecast that within 5 years, most of the petroleum refineries 20 to 30% will go to petrochemicals. In some cases, even 50% will go to because benzene-based polymer, the cyclohexane-based polymer, the ethane-based polymer, naphtha-based polymer, their feedstock position would become much easier than people are inclined to believe, because oil to chemicals is going to come in a big way, no matter what you say. But it is our responsibility, and I would say very heavy responsibility, to see that sustainability, recyclability is the one which is the crucial part. And I'm already seeing, quite independent of high profile and PET for recycling, I'm seeing very bright future for polyethylene and polypropylene to be recycled through different methodology. Once again, I compliment the organizers for packaging the entire program so well, and that they have included just about everything that matters, from research to the application to the market appeal. And I added the word art, that you need artists also, how different kinds of design of packaging can be conceived. With this, I wish you a very bright future in the objectives that you have laid out so articulately. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind blessings. So we are highly blessed with your kind presence. Your inspirational speech have motivated the entire packaging research community, and the FIPS team has been encouraged to do their jobs to fulfill the mission of Foundation. I would now love to invite our chief guest to unveil the plaque of Foundation for Innovative Packaging and Sustainability virtually, to launch this Foundation for Innovative Packaging and Sustainability. I would request our chief guest to please do the honor.
Yes, a great pleasure in launching of Fips.
Thank you,
And
sir.
once again, I say wish them very bright future. They are very dedicated people, and I'm so impressed with the commitments that they have made. Wish you best of luck. May you go places, as they say.
Thank you.
This
Thank
is
you.
the flag, sir.
This is the flag.
Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, we have a virtual applause. All of you can have a huge round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know you wait now little bit, because in the yeah, now it has come there. There is a lag of 10 seconds. This link and that screen. Yeah, I'm watching both the screen. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay.
You have the plaque in front of me. That's okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is the screen, sir. Thank you, sir. This will
Okay.
remain in our office, sir, forever.
Okay. Thank you.
You have given a birth of a foundation. Thank you so much, sir. For your
Can I withdraw now?
Yeah. One more minute, sir. Sir, I think, sir, if you can say 5 minutes, there is some exchange of MOU. You can see how we have done it.
Okay.
Just 5 minutes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, Saina, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Moving ahead, ladies and gentlemen, may I now request Professor Dr. N.C. Saha, Chairman, FIPS, to present an memento virtually as a mark our respect to our chief guest, Professor M.M. Sharma. Professor Saha will also present an memento virtually to our guest of honor, Mr. R.R. Rashmi, sir, and then Dr. U. Venkateshwarlu.
I have such a great pleasure in presenting them mementos. Thank you. They spoke very well. Both our guests of honor spoke very well, and compliment them.
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure listening to you. You have so much of wisdom, and both from the such an you have held such senior positions, and you are a scientist's mind and also a mind of an innovator. That's really great.
So it's really interesting to listen to you, sir. It's very interesting and very young professor, 27 years professor talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I've been to Tripura, Agartala for the NIT convocation.
Oh, right, sir. Yes,
And
yes.
once
Okay.
I was also there when
Sir.
I used to be an independent director on Reserve Bank of India, and once a year they hold one meeting in one of the states. So
Right,
RBI
sir.
meeting was in Tripura, and
Right,
I
sir.
came for that meeting. At that time, I was the independent director in Reserve Bank of India as a
Oh,
scientist.
great, sir. Right. Thank you, sir. Thank
I
you, sir.
like Tripura.
Great, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
The bamboo. In fact, I have a memento of
Sir.
Ganesh carved out of a bamboo stem. Big
Sir,
one.
it's yes, sir.
5,
sir.
6 inch, 5 inches wide, and Ganesh
Great, sir.
carved out of that bamboo.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Unbelievable. Very good.
So nice to hear, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Anything more, Professor Saha? Professor Saha?
You are on
You have
mute.
to
Dr. Saha.
unmute. Yeah.
I think if you could stay, because after that there is a 5 MOU, just 5 minutes will not take. It will take less than 2 minutes.
I'm okay. Just if you finish within 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Surely, sir.
carry on.
Ladies and gentlemen, moving ahead, I am pleased to inform you that as per the advisors, the FIPS team have decided to have the blessing of reputed institutions and universities under Government of India for their collaboration with Foundation to undertake research and skill development in the field of packaging and sustainability for the benefit of student MSME self-help women's group. On this context, Foundation has got the logo support from 6 reputed institutions. However, till today, Foundation has signed MOU with 5 institutions, and the MOU signing with Nerist is on process. On behalf of Foundation, I am pleased to announce here that Vice Chancellor, Director General of all 6 organizations are present here, and Memorandum of Understanding exchange will be done virtually. I hope Professor Dr. Saha is with us.
Yes.
I'm just not, the video is
Yes.
not on. I'm not able to see.
No, sir, it will come, sir. It will come now. It has been made a video.
Okay.
Okay, starting with our first MOU, ladies and gentlemen, between Professor Dr. N.C. Saha, Chairman, Foundation for Innovative Packaging and Sustainability, and Dr. Arun Kumar Sharma, Director General, Northeast Center for Technology Application and Research, Nectar, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India.
Saina, just wait for, it is coming to the other screen. You have to give little pause.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, give little pause. Let the viewer see that. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Go. Yeah, go next. Go next. Yeah.
Second MOU between Professor Dr. N.C. Saha, Chairman, FIPS, and Srimati Glory Swarupa, Director General, National Institute for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, NIMSME, Ministry of MSME, Government of India.
That this is all IT based MOU exchange.
Beautifully done. Moving ahead to a third MOU.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Between Professor Dr. N.C. Saha, Chairman, Foundation for Innovative Packaging and Sustainability.
I'm not able to see it on the screen.
Why, sir?
Why, sir? We are able to see, sir.
Not, I don't know, in my case, I'm not able to see on the screen.
Are you seeing us, sir, and screen also?
No,
Yes,
no.
sir. Venkateshwar, yes, I'm able to see, sir.
Not me.
Ladies and gentlemen, here as I present third MOU between Professor Dr. N.C. Saha, Chairman, FIPS, and Professor Dr. Sabu Thomas, Vice Chancellor, Mahatma Gandhi University, Kerala Public University.
Next.
Moving ahead to our fourth MOU between Professor Dr. N.C. Saha, Chairman, FIPS, Professor Dr. G.D. Sharma, Vice Chancellor, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya, USTM.
Give a pause. It is coming on the other side. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And with this, a huge round of applause. Our fourth MOU. Thank you.
Yes.
Moving ahead to our fifth MOU.
Just wait 2 minutes. It's coming that side. 2 seconds. Yeah.
All right, sir.
Lag of 10 seconds, this screen and that screen. Yeah. Yeah. Next. Yeah.
Our fifth MOU, ladies and gentlemen, between Professor Dr. N.C. Saha, Chairman, FIPS, and Dr. Anil Wali, Managing Director, Foundation for Innovations and Technology Transfer, FIIT of India Institution of Technology, IIT Delhi.
Wait, just it is coming on other screen. Yeah.
I'm able to see.
Yes, sir. So this is all virtual, sir, because
Yes.
we are handicapped.
No, for some reason the screen had gone. I did something by which it came back. Okay.
Yes, Saina. Go ahead.
Moving ahead, in addition, the signing of 6 MOU with Nerist on process. MOU will be signed with Professor Dr. H.S. Yadav, Director, Northeastern Regional Institute for Science and Technology, Arunachal Pradesh. Well, thank you all for your kind association with FIPS to achieve our goals. With this, we all should give a huge round of applause. Now, this is the time to invite our third pillar of Foundation for Innovative Packaging and Sustainability, Mr. Mrinal Kanti Banerjee, Director, Innovation, Sustainability and Finance. He is popularly known as MK. He is an innovator and thought leader in the field of laminated and extruded tube packaging and allied polymer conversion field, including printing and decoration. He worked with SL Propack Limited, a leading corporate in the manufacturing of plastic-based laminated plastic tubes for last 35 years and superannuated recently. As Director of Creativity and Innovations in SL Propack, the job for to innovate unique and novel packaging structures and commercialize those at faster speed, and also to build the intellectual property portfolio covering all the patents and unique products. MK has applied patent for 156 innovative products globally, and out of that, 55 patents got granted from various countries. May I now invite Mr. MK Banerjee to propose formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Saina. Good
You're most
afternoon,
welcome,
sir.
sir.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir. On behalf of FIPS, I would like to thank our chief guest of honor, Professor M. Sharma, Padma Vibhushan, and Sri Rajini Ranjan Rashmi, and Dr. U. Venkateswarlu. Sir, your speech was very inspiring and very directional. Your advice we have noted down, and in time to come, will we implement those in our vision mission statement. And we are already partly aligned with that, what you all said, sir. And thank you very much for your valuable guidance. And in future, we would like to have more of your guidance and blessing. Thank you very much. I think I should take this opportunity to thank two of my colleagues and founder director. One of them, Professor Anup K. Ghosh, with his busy schedule and with a vast knowledge, he has kindly joined us. Yeah, he has kindly joined us and give us very valuable advice and directions. And our chairman is a, is like a work colleague. As the name says, he is in the chair for, almost 16, 18 hours in a day. And this foundation is his mastermind. And we'll all privileged to get his guidance and support. Thank you very much. China, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, may I request all of you for a round of applause virtually to make this memorable day, as this foundation has taken birth and we expect many more events to come in future. Within few minutes, we will be starting our first webinar of the foundation. Let's have a huge round of applause for the foundation. And once again, I would like to thank each one of you for joining us today.
Professor Shah and Professor Ghosh, thank you so much. Wish you all the best. So I'll withdraw now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
You've done a
Thank
great
you
job,
very much.
China.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
You have done a great job.
Yeah,
Thank
you.
you.
Sharma,
Your
for
diction was
time.
perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Saha. Thank you, Dr. Ghosh, and all your colleagues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saha, and all the colleagues there, and also the anchor, done very well. Thank you very much. This is
Thank you so much,
Venkateshwarlu
sir. Means a
signing
lot.
off. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. So, Dr. Saha, are we set for the second session of the day?
I think both the speaker to join, they have joined.
We will wait for them for 2 minutes. And then we'll start our second session.
Correct. Both the speakers should join. Yeah.
Thank you.
Chris has already joined. Chitranjan Dhar to join. And just call him. Joining, sir. Yeah, are you joining now? It's the time now. Yeah. Okay, no problem. You come on the Google now. I mean the Zoom. You come on the Zoom. Yeah. Come in the Zoom. Yeah. Jitin, MK has to give some music and all. He is not giving. Yeah. Yes. China, you are here. You can start.
Good evening, sir. Pleasure to have you. With this, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start our inaugural webinar on packaging, innovations, and sustainability. Most attraction of this webinar is having two important distinguished speakers for important session, plenary session for 1 Packaging Innovation and Plenary Session 2 Sustainability. Mr. Chitranjan Dar will make a presentation on packaging solution for emerging India, and Professor Chris Bruins, Managing Director, Netherlands Institute of Sustainable Packaging, will make the presentation on sustainability and circular economy. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a pleasure to invite Mr. Deepak Manchanda, Chief Consultant, Package Design, FIPS, who has already been introduced. He is the moderator for this webinar. I shall now request Mr. Manchanda to take over from me. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon to all the participants. Good afternoon to Mr. Chitranjan Dar, Mr. Professor Chris Bruins.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
So we are now entering into the webinar session on emerging solutions for packaging for emerging India, packaging solution for emerging India. This session will be chaired by Professor Dr. N.C. Saha. Dr. N.C. Saha, Chairman FIPS, really does not need any further introduction. However, it's important to mention that Professor Saha has got complete combination of qualifications and experience in agricultural engineering, food technology, and packaging. With this, I'll invite Dr. Saha to chair the plenary session 1. And it's about packaging solutions for emerging India. So Dr. Saha, please take over from here.
Thank you, Deepak ji. Before we start the webinar, I thought it's our responsibility or duty on behalf of Foundation to express our sincere thanks to all the 5 institutes who have signed MOU just during the launch program, and we have just completed the launch program. And we are really thankful to all the institutes, especially the Vice Chancellor and also the Director General, who took their time from their busy schedule and also joined in this launch program, which is just completed. In fact, for all of your information, all the institutes, the Vice Chancellor, they have already signed the document, and it was just a formalities to show to the audience that that's a virtual exchange of MOU. Why I'm mentioning this? Because the webinar we are going to talk on sustainability and packaging. In fact, these are the 6 reputed universities in India who has been doing a lot of research work. But incidentally, those research work has not been commercialized. Neither they have got an industry partner. I think that's the role of the foundation is coming into picture, and we'll be joining with all the universities, and we take forward whatever the technology, whatever the research the university is doing, and we'll take it, we'll bring it to the market. So with this talking, thanks to just the session is over. Now I go to our webinar. Thank you, Deepak ji. This is a webinar on the first webinar, I should say. It is our theme webinar, because there will be a series of webinar the entire the day. I mean the entire the year. Sorry to say. I think over the time you'll find there is a schedule of training program, which one of our chief consultant will say that we have already lined up maybe a 12 number of workshop or the webinar is coming over the period of the next 6 months time. Now coming here on this subject where we got a fantastic, and I should say that all of you know the speaker who is here, who I'll be inviting, who is going to talk about the packaging solution for the emerging India. Now, before I invite, I just want to speak a few words about this subject. As all of you will agree with me, the Indian economy is based on agriculture, where the agri-business plays an important role for the growth of our GDP. It is also reported that there is a wastage of almost 30% of the fresh produces due to lack of inadequate unscientific packaging in terms of proper packaging specification and design and transport and so on. Due to this, the packaging becomes the heart and soul of merchandising. At the same time, it is true that the entire world, including India now, it is a very turbulent stage due to the pandemic situation. However, fortunately, packaging being considered an essential component for the supply, distribution, and marketing of all kinds of essential commodity. And under this, what are the challenges and the solution towards the emerging India? What really the India will be looking for in the new normal situation? And for that, we have kept this session on the plenary session 1 called Packaging Solution for the Emerging India. We have with us the most eminent expert in food packaging who has spent his entire life for the packaging and marketing of food products, except his other portfolio, which I'll be a pleasure to read and introduce to the audience about our next speaker, Mr. Chitranjan Dhar, who is the former CEO of ITC Foods. Mr. Dhar is graduate. He is a BTech in mechanical engineering from IIT Delhi and management MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. He joined in 1981 in packaging division and worked across the sales in its packaging and manufacturing functions and the head of process and re-engineering at ITC. In 1998, he became the head and sales and marketing and made ITC as a business leader. In 2003, Mr. Dhar became the CEO of the lifestyle retailing business of ITC and enhanced company and footprint. I mean, it has become an Indian global company. In 2008, he took over as a CEO of ITC Food. Under his leadership, the brand value of ITC Foods gained in a multifold. 2015, he took over the corporate role as a group head, central projects, research and development, sustainability, EHAs, and the corporate management committee. Mr. Dhar just recently retired about 3 months back. In fact, when I invited him about 2 months back, he just asked me very politely and very humble manner that I have retired 2 months now. Do you want me to be in your program? I was gladly, I said that, sir, we can't miss you because in India, if anyone wants to talk about the food packaging, we don't get any other expert other than Mr. Chitranjan Dhar. And that's why we say we gladly want, sir, your kind presence. And I'm very happy with his busy schedule. He's not based in Calcutta, but now he's in Delhi, but even he has connected us. He has spared his time even yesterday for our trial run. And today he will be talking the subject called Packaging Solution for the Emerging India. With this introduction, I would request our first plenary speaker, Mr. Chitranjan Dhar, which is popularly known as Chituda. And I'll just request Mr. Dhar to start the session. Over to you, sir.
Dr. Saha, before Mr. Dhar takes over, we should say that they will be taking questions at the end of his presentation. So any questions that are there may be written into the chat box.
Correct. As our moderator mentioned, all the audience, please, you can mention your questions on the chat box. And after this 30 minutes presentation, all the questions will be collected by our moderator and then we'll explain to that and our speaker will be able to reply to you. Yes, sir. Over to Mr. Dhar.
Thank you, Professor Saha. Thank you, members of FIPS, the mentors, the consultants, and everybody else associated with FIPS. I'm very honored to be here today, and I think it's a very, very important day for the packaging industry in India. I do hope FIPS, by its various efforts, is able to make a lot of difference in the way packaging is, not only the way packaging industry performs in India, but the way packaging is perceived in India and the way it and the various research needs of packaging are brought into the forefront so that from just activity of converters, etc., we also become packaging thought leaders globally. I think that's a very important lead because we keep looking to West for inspiration. I think time has come when in our whole Atmanirbhar Bharat, this also becomes a very Indian kind of function. So I think FIPS has a very, very important role to play in this regard. And I'm very happy that you just started this at the right time. So talking about the subject, first of all, I must say that Dr. Sharma and the other guests did cover a lot of what I wanted to say. And I think, therefore, what I'm going to talk is not going to be unique, but I want to give it a little industry perspective from, say, a food or an FMCG point of view. Okay, so let's start. Next slide, please.
Yes. Next slide.
Yeah, we all are very proud of our India, Mera Bharat Mahan. And I think important thing to realize about the packaging is a need which gets fulfilled when a consumer is happy with the product he buys. So what is the consumer? What is the market? I think it's important to realize that India, with its 138, 140 crore people spread over 30 states and 8-10 union territories, is a huge, huge market. And there is, like they say, there is no single India. I would say that as far as industry is concerned, especially food industry, there are hundreds of Indias. There are hundreds of trend belts. And very often your competition, your need is either national, local, or hyper-local. Even in a commodity like atta, from my own experience, the atta you consume in the south and the atta you consume in the north, and the atta you consume in the east and the atta you consume in the west are very different, both in terms of color, texture, granulations, etc. Talking about even going further, talking about, say, spices. The spices which you consume in Andhra Pradesh are very different from the spices you consume in Tamil Nadu. Okay, then even further granulation. The sambar powder you get in Chennai is very different from the sambar powder which is popular in Coimbatore. So even within the state, there are trend belts. Some of you may be surprised, like even popular brands, say in biscuits, the popular brand of biscuits commonly referred to, several of them are only available in certain slivers of the market. Okay, so they're not nationally available because they're not nationally popular, not in terms of making them available, but in terms of taste. And Mari biscuit, for instance,
Mari. Yeah.
70% or 80% of Mari biscuits sells in coastal India. It hardly sells in Delhi. So India has hundreds of trend belts, hundreds of. So what does it mean? Our market remains complex. When it remains complex, this complexity has best to be understood and explained to the consumer and brought to the consumer life by the packaging that it offers. The second reality is that India is not into organized retail. We are still largely mom and pop retail. Organized retail in India, especially for the FMCG sector, probably now is reaching to a level of 20%. You know, we're near 80% or 75%. Pandemic has made the more e-commerce, etc., far more accessible. But even then, India is a country of shopkeepers. They used to say Britain is a country, but actually India is. We've got more than 1 crore plus retail outlets. Okay, whether it's from e-commerce to village kiosks. And very often to reach these people, you'll be surprised when we say we have 1 crore retail outlets. Now, how do we reach these 1 crore retail outlets? A company with its own distributor salesman is rarely able, I mean, these are large companies I'm talking about, not small companies who are in the middle sector, but even large companies in the FMCG sector. They do not have a sales force which can reach more than 12 to 14 lakh retail outlets on a consistent basis. Okay, some people may go up to 20, but that's about it. So 80% of our retail, out of it 50% is in rural India, 60% is in rural India, really never comes to interface with the company. It does not. So there are multiple channels which disseminate products in India from a manufacturer to the village outlet in Laul Spiti or in Ladakh or in whatever you call your village next door. So it is not that the company has done it, but what it has been able to do with a myriad of systems, distribution systems, which have been in existence in India for a long time, which are being strengthened, the use of technology and other things. But the fact remains that it's not possible for any company to reach wherever its product had reached. I know, for instance, in biscuits, ITC actually directly supplies to 7 to 8 lakh shops, but the biscuit product of ITC is almost available in 75, 80 lakh shops. So I remember at one time when people were talking about why can't we take a return packaging from the retailer, I had to tell people that, it's not that we know the retailers. We know 10% of the retailers. The other 80, 85 are very opaque. Okay, our business is not to get to know retailers. Our business is to service the consumers to the best of our ability. So this is a very important link to be maintained. So this is a tenuous link, but a very important link in reaching to our consumers. Other thing is, India of late has got a very, very strong regulatory system coming in. Regulatory system in terms of product quality, in terms of contamination, in terms of what disclosures have to come in, etc., etc. We know some years back there was a huge problem with one brand, and they went through a lot of pain and a lot of withdrawals, etc., etc. Where some part of that system had failed. So while this regulatory is very strong, but our linkages to our supply, especially the supply which is coming out of more unorganized sector, continues to remain weak. So an organized industry is responsible for a quality which he does not normally control in the rigor in which it would have been desirable. So B2B control of policy from organized to organized is a little different from an unorganized to organized. But in this industry, unorganized plays a very important role and will continue to play a very important role. So this continues to remain a challenge. Of course, we all know about the extreme conditions in India: heat, dust, monsoons, rodent insects, and of late, fakes and imitations. Now, all these are what we need to protect our product and protect our consumers from. And therefore, packaging plays a very important role in being able to do so. And as I said in the last, imitations and fakes has become such a large business in India that you need to keep revitalizing your packaging, make it more unique, make it more distinct so that it can't be copied. And that's a very important aspect of packaging going ahead. Next page, please. The other thing we must remember about FMCG, the companies look very glamorous, but our consumers are not glamorous. Okay. In products, in foods for particularly, I must tell you that 80% of consumption takes place in price point below 10 rupees. In fact, I may say in some categories, even 90% of consumption takes place in price points below 10 rupees. So here we have global aspiration of product and a very, very local bottom of the pyramid pricing. 10 is a very, very good price in food FMCG. I mean, it's at the high end of the price. We have started with 1. There are certain, even biscuits available at 1 rupee. You must remember, when there is a myriad requirement of myriad customers, this miniaturization of packaging has helped a lot in making products accessible to the masses in India. Okay, you can understand that if we were still stuck up with the technologies of 70s and 60s, this would not have been possible. It would not have been possible to get a biscuit packet at 1 rupee or a large delivery of potato chips at 5 rupees or 10 rupees. This would not have been possible. Several of these industries have been made possible by advent of packaging. I would say that, forget FMCG, where we are talking about packaging in such a big way. I mean, forget food packaging. I remember in the year 1982, I used to, as a salesman, visit ponds, and the entire shampoo market in India was 1,500 tons. It is only when the sachets got introduced in the late 80s, this market exploded 1,000 times, not 1 or 2. It almost exploded 1,000 times to reach the level it is, because there is an impending demand, but unwillingness of person, inability to spend a ticket value which is greater than 10 rupees, or a ticket value which is even greater than 5 rupees. So it's only when you make ticket values affordable, and this is a message to all those people who are talking about, and Mr. Sharma was kindly talking about, Dr. Sharma, about this entire change which is taking place towards environment, that in India you need to balance requirement of the consumer with the requirement of environment while trying to satisfy both ends of the spectrum. And lastly and not least is about our infrastructure investment. It has been low. India hardly has any, we have a good ambient condition now, better roads. So that's why we are able to reach 80 lakh outlets. But When you're talking about food spoilage, you're talking about how do you increase the productivity of what is farmed. Then you need a very strong cold chain. You need a very strong cool chain. Then you need a very strong frozen chain. Now, these chains virtually are non-existent in this country, or they are existent to very, very little because our energy costs are high, our infrastructure costs are high. So I think over the next few years, while packaging remains a very important parameter, these are other subsidiary functions which need to be built up to make for a strong consumer consumption story in the food sector. Okay, so overall, I would say success till now has been built on promise of sensory performance and delivering product consistency. This has been the story till now. The story is changing after pandemic. Many other things are happening, and as we get more and more mature into in this, so in our consumption trends, and as a country, as we grow from a $2,000 per capita to $10,000 to $50,000. May not be all of it may not happen in my lifetime. I hope it does, but we would be seeing a huge requirement from products and from packaging far beyond just sensory and consistency. Now, those will become very basic requirements. We're talking about hygiene, we're talking about nutrition has started to become more and more, and fresh becoming more and more latent needs, which will keep happening. So overall, I would say our market is complex, it is tough, but it is evolving. Okay, so this is as far as the market side is concerned. Can we, next slide, please? As I said, consumption is increasing. Of course, India is an underserviced market. As I said, some of packaging, a lot of food packaging especially, and personal care packaging, and therefore a lot of products, the success of all FMCG has been, a lot of it is packaging led. Okay, it would not have happened without innovations in packaging and the packaging that has evolved to today. I have no hesitation in mentioning that. Nothing of that sort would have happened. So packaging has played a very, very important role in the FMCG industry, and it needs to play. More and more important is that India is an underserved market, in the sense that there are categories which have not, there are categories which have got 70% and 80% penetration. A biscuit has 80% penetration, a shampoo has 75 now or 80, soap has 80 plus. So there are categories which have reached that level of penetration. By and large, if you see anything in processed food, etc., the penetration levels are very low, and there is a lot of scale and headroom for growth. So that is something which will keep happening, which will keep growing, and we hope it grows faster because there is a abundant need for us to integrate industry and agriculture. Professor Narayan and others were talking about India being an agriculture-driven economy, not in terms of GDP so much, but more in terms of population. So 15% population contributing only 70% to our GDP. So if we have to remove this poverty and increase the GDP out of agriculture, remove rural poverty, get supply and demand more aligned, we need to therefore do a lot more work in it's become a priority of the government, and more it will become a priority of the industry, because when that lies our success, in that lies our potential for export, in that lies our ability to really transform this country. And I see a lot of markets developing with increased processing and increased variety of processing, innovative product offerings in the whole area of processed packaging, increased exports. I think that's today, Thailand, if you want to eat Indian food in America, the chances are you're buying a Thai product. If you want to eat a paratha, it will never be from India. It will always be from Thailand or Malaysia. Now, we have built a nation. We are a great cuisines to offer, 40 different cuisines out of India. But it's an unfortunate reality that we are not able to make the maximum out of it. Now, this has to become a reality. We all have to take it as our mission, whether it's through our packaging, through our infrastructure, to make in India a global brand in food FMCG, especially in our so that at least the least we can ensure is that the products which are Indian by birth and Indian in nature and Indian in tradition continues to be made in India and not made in Thailand. So in a sense, India needs to become a kitchen to the world. It's a great opportunity. Okay, if Thailand can make food for all over the world in all cuisines, I don't see why India can't. Okay, so there is this linkage will become stronger, and I do perceive that export out of India of processed food, not only fresh, will jump a few hundredfold in the next 10 years, not 5, 10. It has to jump a few hundredfold. Then we could become people of reckoning. And I'm sure this will happen and the industry will take it. And of course, it requires improvement in crop practices, infrastructure, and quality. And a lot of that is now being put into action. Yeah, next. So emerging segments, as I said, is fruits and vegetables are going to be an emerging sector in our foods industry. And this is really with very little value addition, which is basically sorting and cutting, etc., and for which ambient, cold, and frozen storage would be required, both for domestic and export market. This is a large market for growth. Then ready to cook, okay, which is processed food in its fundamental form. This is a large market which is growing. Ready to eat, again, a large market which is growing. What is also happening, and we are all aware of it because this is happening in our homes, the food delivery and cloud kitchens, the Zomatos and the Swiggis of the world. I don't know how many of us know there are 10 crore packs, 10 crore orders which get serviced every month by food delivery services in India. Now this could jump 4 or 5-fold in the next 3 to 5 years. In the context of packaging, this is not a subsidiary industry. It has now become the center of our action because this is going to become a huge industry by itself. And we need to really see what we can do to make this also enter into the entire live stream of sustainability. Functional foods, where food is required to do, as I said, more than just taste and uniqueness and consistency. This really looking at hygiene, nutrition, convenience, which is the new mantra. There are plentiful of options of growth, plentiful. Whether it's for diabetics, it's for people with cardiovascular issues or wanting to improve their cardiovascular health, etc. These are areas which are opening up fast. Cognition for old, cognition for youngsters. These are areas which are opening up fast, and we do believe that as time goes by, these will become large markets in India. And again, here, they have very, very different requirements for packaging, which we need to fulfill as time goes by. So I have no doubt that with all these things happening, the industry size will, when I say doubling in 5 years, I think I'm not being optimistic enough. So I do see a huge future, and with that, a huge future for packaging itself. So this is something we must remember. So while we remain complex, we remain complicated, we have many things on which we are not happy, but it remains a market of great opportunity. It's a large market, but packaging remains a market of great opportunity in this country. And with innovation and further value addition, what packaging did for India in the 80s, we need to make packaging do that again for India in the 2020s. And if that happens, then sky's the limit. Next one, please. So what do we package? What is the requirement of packaging from a consumer point of view? Look, consumer interacts with packaging. It is at a very subliminal level. It is not that he has a demand and you ask a packaging. People have tried that often. What do you want from this packaging? That's the first time they think about packaging if you do a market survey on packaging. But I think from our own understanding, beyond, it has been rooted till now in this entire protect, preserve, promote philosophy, and also this philosophy of cost. Okay, so these have really enabled us to reach a certain level of, I would say, acceptance with the customer. And this cost of ownership, as I said, India is a really a bottom of the pyramid economy with a top of the pyramid experience. Therefore, this entire business of a good package, and this is not my saying. This, I think, was the founder of Tetra Pak, Hans Rousing, who said that a good packaging should save more than what it costs. Now, this is what is going to be the mantra of packaging from now onwards. It's not about that this packaging will cost 250 rupees a ton or a kg, and this packaging will cost 1,000 rupees a kg. Important thing which people will start asking is that what is it costing the society? Will it save more or will it cost more? And ultimately, if I'm able to save more, then people are willing to pay more. And this is a great challenge which we need to take. I think we need to look at innovative convenience in a lot new manner, because as and when people are getting more and more tied with their daily chores, packaging innovation can lead to a very easy usage of product and making the housewife and the job of the housewife and the job of people at home and in the offices much easier. So therefore, this entire business of convenience, innovative convenience, where a lot of innovative products with various many opening features and features of atmospheric presence, of sensory retention, can really make packaging go places. We also believe that there will be a lot of product flow information through digital interface. Packaging will have to get ready for a digital interface in a very big manner, because using our cell phone and a package, a lot of product, its integrity, its information and transparency will happen, and including product feedback will happen with the interface of our packaging with digital world. And this is an urgent need which will certainly start manifesting itself as days goes by. So the more we work at it, the most. And of course, the important role for packaging as it goes by is post-use. That while it's done all this great things for us when it was alive, post-use, it has to get out of the way quickly. Okay, it is not something which needs to complicate our world. And I'll talk about it a little more. Next, please. As I said about getting out of the way closely, what is the packaging conundrum we are facing? Now, Dr. Sharma did talk about the fact that, a lot is being made about what's happening. But really, there has been over the last 2 decades, and more so in the last 5 years, I would say, this whole movement which considers packaging to be, or on package to be wasteful. That do we need really this? Are we over packaging? Certainly, this is not a question in India, but there are a lot of people in India also who ask it. Number 2, plastic, for instance, which has been really, as I said, that revolution in plastics, revolution in plastic packaging, revolutionized Indian FMCG industry and make consumption available at the bottom of the pyramid. Now that was yesterday's solution, but has become today's problem. It's from a savior, it's moved to a villain's place, very undecidedly and undeservedly, I would say in many cases. But that's the reality. That's the reality. Dr. Lakshmi can tell us how our previous ministry had to look at it. But I have had enormous number of chats and enormous number of talks, where of course lots of our bureaucracy, a lot of people who are not related to the industry can, almost. I remember the joint secretary telling me, in 2 years there should be no laminate in the industry. We don't care how. So it is sometimes the demands are placed on the industry are so unrealistic that those things don't happen. But we must take into cognizance that there is a requirement. And the requirement is not whether there should be a laminate or not. But the requirement is there should not be a single wasted package found on the road, or found in our canals, or found in our rivers, or down in microplastics into our fish. So that's a legitimate use. Now, what can I do with my plastic to make that legitimate use happen? Certainly is a thing we need to look at. So we have a problem of visible waste which does not go away easily, and all of us cognize for it, and many of us are working on it. The microplastic issue, marine life, certainly people in West Bengal and Kerala would be most concerned, and that's something we need to ensure. Our end-of-life options for most of our packaging today are limited, and they need to be really, in fact, I am hoping that this entire center, FIPS, looks at end-of-life for all packaging options and researches into it in a much more deeper manner. And I have some suggestions, and I hope people can take this further. So limited end-of-life options has been a problem. It does not fit into the idea of circular packaging, of circular economy, which I'm very, very keenly awaiting the next lecture, which I think will give us a global view on circular economy and what we can take it on here. And I'll also talk about what we are doing about it. So the entire thing about, a great packaging should save more than what it costs is almost now fitting into a great packaging one which goes from dust to dust via infinite recycles. Now that is the requirement of packaging. While economy remains where it is, but from a very societal point of view, say packaging should go from dust to dust via infinite recycles, and then we have what we call desirable packaging. So let's see what all is happening in this entire world today. Please go next. Yeah, next slide, please.
Yeah, it's come.
As Dr. Sharma said, plastics are abundant material. We can't wish them away. Okay, and I'll try to be faster here. Most other options, if you really look at it, leave a much larger carbon footprint. However, we need to ensure post-consumer use and disposal is disciplined. That is the requirement of the civil society, the municipality, and all of us in the industry working together. The 5-point mantra to waste management, which is the immediate mantra, it's not a long-term mantra, immediate. We need to educate people on segregation at source. And it is possible, we have demonstrated in our WOW program at ITC, that when you go in an intensive way of demonstration, in parts of Bangalore where we really took over wards, it is possible to get 90% source segregation. Not only here, in a town called Muzaffarpur in Bihar, which people thought was outside redemption, it is possible to source segregate. It is possible, and source segregation is a great way of ensuring that there are more and more available options for disposal of waste. So this becomes the first and fundamental stopping point, which we all need to focus on. Point number 2, next slide, please. Segregated collection of waste. Very often it's not necessary to only source segregate. You ask people, why are they not source segregating anymore? So, the collection truck which comes, it actually combines everything back. So what is the point? So work with municipalities to have segregated collection of waste. Work with municipality to use organic waste to compost and energy so that those large waste mountains start slowly disappearing. And we have no other incidents of that. The solid waste gets segregated into recyclable and others. The recyclable has money as far as India is concerned. Anything recyclable is rich. But other waste, which is today the multi-layer waste, etc., or low-value plastics where people are not able to find immediate use, then in the immediate, it gets into for energy consumption through cement kilns or incinerators at high temperature so that they are environmentally safely disposed. I think this responsibility and this entire virtuous cycle can only succeed with industry support and support of municipalities and local governments. I expect that with what we have been doing in the industry over the last 3 to 4 years, of course, pandemic disturbed it all, otherwise we would have moved faster. I expect a huge improvement in the ground realities of plastic disposal, waste disposal in general over the next 2 to 3 years. And I think the situation will improve beyond recognition in the next 2 to 3 years. But is that enough? That's not enough. Let's move ahead, please. I think we have an innovation roadmap which we need to really worry about and think about. There is certainly need that technology innovation so that multi-layer plastics, which are being used hugely, about 1.5 million tons in India today for packaging products, they find an effective recycling process. What I mean is, and we've done it, we have done lots of experiments. It's possible to regranulate them and use them for injection, not for film blowing, but for injection application. It is possible to take a plastic film, regranulate it with cleaning, etc., and sell those granules for 35 to 40 rupees. Export those granules and earn 35 to 40 rupees. What it means is the person who brings you plastic film, you can afford to pay him 10 to 15 rupees. The moment that happens, it becomes a virtuous cycle by itself. The waste collector will show interest, his increased income will go up by 1,000 rupees a month, and this entire business of how do we want people to start subsidizing will start going away by itself. Like they said, PET bottles, 90% of them get recycled. They get recycled because it is so easily done, and you know, so right from top to bottom, people are collaborating. Here, if we make this happen, we will find that instead of burning them in the plastic kiln, there's a virtuous cycle happening. Everybody will gain. All elements of Indian housewife will start segregating, and then the entire system will get lubricated by economy. Okay. Second is that the great, and we've got a great faith in LDP. My whole thing is that in the second level, over the next 5 to 7 years, from multi-layer materials, we should start moving into single polymer. Whether it's a single polymer with laminate or single polymer without laminate. This is the next big thing to happen. I'm glad to report a lot of things are happening in LDP environment, whether in terms of toughness, stiffness, puncture resistance, or now with the use of coatings in terms of giving barrier and shelf life, that in the next 4 to 5 years, I look at a sea change. And the moment that happens, everything automatically becomes, even the first step starts looking a little redundant because everything automatically becomes recyclable. And when it's recyclable, automatically the entire value chain can go up and disposal becomes that much easy. Point number 3.
Next slide.
Yeah. As I told you, new generation of polyethylene and development in coating technologies has shown very encouraging results. Molded fiber packaging is coming of age in India, with still a little primitive. I think there's a lot of work happening globally, and a lot of replacement of plastic, single-use plastic for fresh and cooked product delivery is the need of the hour. As I said, today we have 10,000 deliveries at home. 10 crore per month deliveries at home. Soon, this will probably reach to 30 and 40 crore level in the next 4 to 5 years. When that happens, we don't want another waste mountain to start piling up. So the entire thing of multi-fiber packaging, which can be recycled, reused, recomposed, becomes a very important element in our entire journey of circular economy and environment protection. So that's something where a lot of work needs to be done. It may look simple, but there are some challenges, and this is not the forum to talk about it, but I certainly would like to engage. Next one. Next slide, please. Though Dr. Sharma had his views on paper, I am not so negative. I think paper with coating will become a formidable and affordable material over the next decade. Have no mistakes about it. Today, there is no longer, in India also, forest being cut for paper. Bhadrachalam paper boards itself, which is something I know, I'm sure most other paper mills, has planted 8 lakh hectares with forests for plantation purposes for use in paper industry. So it is not something new in India. There's a huge amount of research on forestry and paper-led pulping that is happening, and pulpwood species that's happening. And to my mind, I can comfortably say that paper is an environmentally safe product today. It was not 20 years back or 15 years back. Today, that's not the case. Now, paper and plastic as a combination may not be through the use of very, very thin coatings, will have their own role to play. And I'm sure that this will also, we need to work towards this and make some of this happen into reality, both industry, user, etc. Before a lot of it gets imported from internationally, I think the Indian industry itself needs to work on it. Other things which are likely to happen is that there is a huge amount of localization in manufacture of FMCG products. So gone are the days. The next 10 years, you will find that they'll be made local, consumed local. So everything will be consumed within 200 miles or 200 kilometers of where it's made, and that would reduce the pressure on packaging from a shelf life, as well as other considerations of transportation. And that itself will make things a little easier for packaging. And I do hope that this helps. Furthermore, artificial intelligence and other data tools will help pare down the supply chain complexity, because already we are seeing initial use of it has helped a lot in improving our forecast accuracies about what will happen, what will not happen. So no longer is there the safety stock business and keeping safety stock, etc. All those things are going to shrink over time. Therefore, again, reducing cycle times for good packaging right from the consumer to the manufacturer, via all the entire chains. So then there is going to be innovation in product, including preserving in modified environment around the product. A lot of work is happening internationally. It has not touched India as yet. We do believe that once that happens, there are different kind of packaging options that are going to be made available, also preserving without the need of the kind of packaging we see today. So these are some things which we should throw a light on. So overall, if I have to conclude, I've taken too much of your time. Let me say, last slide, please. Multiple focus areas for short and long-term success, and I think FIPS is a huge ground to cover and help industry move forward in this towards total success. In the short term, of course, we need to focus on waste collection and disposal and all technology required for safe disposal. In the medium term, simpler structures and plastic substitutes seem to be the way out. In the long term, focus on distribution, prediction, product innovation to reduce the demands placed on packaging are also going to happen. So let's go away from this forum really marveling as to what we need to do and go with a share of optimism that the future is going to be brighter. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chitan. Thank you, Mr. Dhar. I think you have given a wonderful presentation covering the entire aspect from, I should say, the A to Z about the packaging. You started with saying that the packaging time is coming. There will be a lot of thought leader of packaging. I think it's a very good word you say. And if I look at about your presentation, it was in a 3-part. The first part, you have given an analysis of the market. The second part, you talk about the technology, and the third part, you talk about the disposal. So on the first part, you say on a packaging enormous market because of the huge population. And I do agree that Mera Mahan, what you say, the country has got a huge population because huge consumer-based market. And the FMCG has grown. You also say on the technology part, there is no doubt the plastic is one of the wonderful material which has really triggered the consumption of consumerism. What I say, it is all because of the plastic innovation it has come. The more importantly, you say that savior has become a villain. That's a good term, because all of us, we are in the packaging side. We are really now wondering that how to really tackle this villain issue. I think that Chris Bruins, the next speaker, will also touch upon that. But the more importantly, what you say, the segregation at disposal, I think that's a very key points. And what I like, you have also given us a direction for a FIPS point of view, and which is actually in our core activity. Professor Ghosh from IIT is already working in the life cycle analysis of the various material. We are taking a 2-point agenda on this. One, we are going to do a life cycle analysis of the every packaging material. It's not only plastic, paper, glass, and metal. And the other thing, we are talking about the degree of recyclability. There is no roadmap. There is nothing called a measurement parameter that which will be what percent of recyclability. So these two, you have really given us a direction and pathway how the research should work, and definitely we'll take into this mind and we'll work onto that. Thank you so much for your excellent presentation, Mr.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
You are a true plenary speaker, and I really enjoy, and I'm sure my participants, I'm just told by our coordinator that 390 people, they have registered, and I am sure all of us might be hearing your presentation, because many people are waiting that what Mr. Dhar is going to talk. But more importantly, you say that you have given a tremendous market figure. The word is today about 10 crore about the ready to eat market, and it is going to become a 10-fold. And really, if the e-market and e-commerce like Swiggy, Amazon, of course, many has come, and after the pandemic, it has been multifold, and yes, your presumption is it will be further and further, and definitely that will trigger the more and more consumption of packaging material. So I personally believe in a foundation. It has become a huge responsibility for us, my entire team, by Rahul or Manchanda and the Shailendra Singh, who are all working, and all the people who will put our mind that how really this sustainable matter, because if I take your presentation, part 1, part 2, part 3, the part 3 become a very important for us, savior to billion and how to get rid of the billion. Thank you so much. And I request all the participants to give a huge round of applause to Mr. Dhar. Now, over to Mr. Manchanda. You got some questions? Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chatandar, for an excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saha, for rounding it up well. We have a question in the chat box. I'll read that out.
Yeah.
It's from Mr. Venkat Subramaniam Swaminathan. He says, very good point, sir. Strong regulations, but weak linkages. 2 questions on this.
Your voice can be loud. You are,
yeah. Has the government hastily introduced plastic waste management EPR rules, or can this be seen as a push to the industry to have a relook at its packaging? Can the government incentivize the industry for adopting sustainable packaging activities? This is one question. Would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, well, I would not like to say hastily, but at the risk of angering or displeasing some people, I would say the first lot of the rules which came in 2016 left a lot to be desired. I mean, they were very idealistic and did not, and they were not done with any round of consultation. For consultation happened much after the rules came in, much to our dismay. There was some preliminary kind of consultation, but it was very little. Those subsequently got modified in 2018. But while one could have wished away these rules, but there is no doubt in the mind that this is a problem which has to be sorted out. The municipality, the industry, the consumer, the government, all people on their own, if they remain apart and aloof, will not be able to solve the problem. So what these rules have done is that they've coalesced people together, made them look at options, and made the frailty of the situation. And I think something is going to be done. We've got successes in Indore, etc., which we are all aware, but further successes will be required. And my own presumption is this entire thing, which really caused this act to come as a kind of a thunderbolt, the consequences of this will be that in the next 3 to 4 years, you will see a significant improvement on the ground, and everybody would be fulfilling his part of that. So they were unwelcome when they came. They were not well researched. But as things have turned out, government has been very kind and courteous. Industry has been more than willing to put its head forward. We've been able to train, and I think the civil society at large has also been receptive. So let's hope for the best, and I'm not dismayed.
Yeah. One more question, I think.
There are two more questions, but I think they are more in the area of circular economy, so we can leave them to after the second
Yeah,
session.
certainly. I want to learn a lot about it.
So I think, Dr. Shah, we are running.
Yeah, running short of time. So I think we can give the memento and then go to the next session. Yeah, yeah.
So may I invite you to give the memento to Mr. Chatranjan Dar for this excellent plenary session.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Gratefully acknowledged. Thank you so much for honoring me.
Thank you, sir. We'll send it by post, sir, to your address. Yes.
Okay, sir. Not too bad. All the best.
This is the normal session. Yes, Manchanda. Go to the next.
With this, we'll move on to the next plenary session, which will be chaired by Dr. Mrs. Lakshmi Raghupati. She was the former director, Ministry of Environment and Forests, Government of India, and is presently a visiting faculty in TERI School of Advanced Sciences in teaching solid waste management, waste utilization, and industrial ecology. She is also the guide to doctoral and postgraduate students in TERI and Amity University. She is an advisor and consultant in areas of environment and waste management and a resource person in Swachh Bharat Mission exposure workshops. So I'd request Dr. Lakshmi Raghupati to chair this session and to invite Mr. Chris Bruins to give us his talk.
Yeah. Madam Lakshmi, yeah, you can unmute.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. And I should thank the foundation to hold such a live webinar as well as the launch program, which is really a wonderful thing, as the chairperson, as the guest of honor mentioned about it. So here we have the speaker, very eminent speaker, Chris Bruges. He's from Netherlands, and Netherlands have been very proactive in the circular economy. So I will briefly give a profile of Professor Chris, so that he's an MSc in chemistry from the University of Utrecht, and did his research in TNO and the Dutch Institute for Applied Sciences. He also worked, like me, on the other side of the globe in the Ministry of Environment in Netherlands for policies, evolving policies and waste management, volatile organic compounds, etc. And he has negotiated in EU and UN level. I also had the opportunity to do the negotiations on the waste management issue. So Netherlands, so we are very close to each other professionally. Netherlands Environment Information Organization, I used to have a lot of discussion with the people, the Dutch people during the Basel negotiations. They were giving me a lot of comfort level. So thanks a lot, Professor Chris, for being here. And the Ministry of, he has also served in the Ministry of Economic Affairs, supported small and medium enterprises with their innovations and chemistry. And since 2008, he's managing director of the Netherlands Innovative and Sustainable Packaging, which is a counterpart for us now here in this packaging organization. So I'm sure he will give us his rich background about the circular economy to evolve a circular mechanism for packaging. As we have been, I would like to inform you, Professor Chris, that India has been into circular economy in a very unconscious manner, because we have always promoted recycling, reuse, and refurbishment of materials until we will extend the life of products to the best possible means, not only in one cycle, but it could be also in multiple cycles. So I look forward to hearing you, and all our participants would also be liking to hear from you. And because India is, as far as the coining of the word as circular economy and putting it in the proper perspective, we are in the first few steps of our goal achievement. So we look forward to hearing from you so that we can mend our ways and take forward everything. So over to you, Professor Chris.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me in this webinar. First of all, I want to congratulate the FIPS for launching event today and having the successful launching event with the website, etc. I followed it a little bit, And I also want to say my thanks to Mr. Chitrada Ranjat Jar, his presentation, who already addressed many subjects and many items I also will mention in my talk. There are a few slides. I want to do it in half an hour maximum. If it is too long, please, Chairwoman, Dr. Lakshmi, correct me if I'm taking too much time, so you can hold me on my time schedule.
No problem.
Thank you. Thank you.
The first slide already says what one of my major messages is. There is a limit on circularity. I will come to that later, because the circularity issue is merely seen as, let's say, the holy grail for the future in terms of, let's say, the sustainable economy, but it has its limits. But first of all, let me introduce the KIDV from the Netherlands. In the next slide, please. We are a small group of experts, about 15 experts. We are funded by the Dutch Packaging Waste Fund, which is the EPR responsible organization for the packaging waste. We have a committee of independent experts from different universities and a supervisory board of industry representatives, and we have, let's say, we exist in about 7 or 8 years now, and our main mission is to help to reduce the environmental impact of packaging in the entire packaging value chain, which is a complex chain. I will come to that later. In the next slide, I will present you. Please, can we have the next slide? Yes, next slide, please.
Next slide.
Yeah, thank you. I was asked to give a global perspective or a global overview of the issue, which is hard to do because the packaging discussion and the packaging developments in different areas of the world and in different countries are strongly related to the waste management systems available. But if you look at the plastic products production of the last, say, 50, 70 years, we see an increase, which is more or less correlated to the increase of the global population, and also correlated to the rise of prosperity in the world. And a major part of the increase of the plastic packaging materials is packaging. And of course, we also see an increase in textiles and electronic devices in the building and construction sector, which is increasing also rapidly in using plastics. But that's merely the line we see in 2008. We had a little economical dip, but the line up was continuing rapidly after that. On the other side, in the right side of the slide, you see the disappointing arrows saying that only about 10% of the plastics are recycled. Not even what is said there is circular, but mostly only in one circle recycled, and 90% is either disposed in leakages, landfills, or incinerations, or process losses. And that's the major challenge we have on the global scale. These are rather disappointing numbers. Some countries do better than others, but this is, let's say, the accumulating problem for, let's say, the current plastics in our society. In the next slide, please. Again, it is shown that the packaging is the most important sector of the plastics using. We have LDPE, PET, HDPE, PP, and a little bit of polystyrene, and in the packaging also slightly PVC, which is a minor component in the packaging materials mix, but it's rather disturbing in the packaging recycling facilities. I come to that later, but PVC, if we can phase out PVC in the packaging and in the plastic mix, we make a rather big step forward, because it is because of the chlorine activity, it disturbs the making of new plastic products from recyclates. So we have to get rid of the chlorine in that mixture. In the next slide, please. Another global phenomena, at least from European side, is that a lot of plastic waste was exported until the 2018 to China and Hong Kong. And since they closed the borders, there was an increase in exporting to Malaysia, but also to India for a small part. And this graph shows that at least in Europe, the stress on the local markets, the European countries to manage the waste in their own country or in their own continent is increasing. And European legislation, as well as our national legislation, says that we are committed and obliged to treat our waste in our same economy as we produce it. So there is an increasing stringent policy at avoiding exporting waste to other continents or other countries, which is currently not fully the case. That's what I have to add to that. We still have exports of plastics to other countries, and merely sometimes these exports are not treated well in terms of recycling or good waste treatment. Sometimes they end up in landfills and are diffusely spread in the environment. The next slide, please. So, looking at the numbers of plastics in economies and waste streams, there are some global waste management goals defined by UNEP related to the Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations, saying that to be ensured in 2020, we have to organize access to all adequate, safe and affordable solid waste collection services, and we have to stop uncontrolled dumping and open burning. And to be ensured in 2030, the active sustainability and environmentally sound management of all the waste, particularly the hazardous waste, should be implemented. And the substantially reduced waste generations through prevention of the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, and recycle, should also be implemented. Considering that the R letters, the reduce, reuse, recycle, in my opinion, it's not enough. I will come to that later, because we also have to refuse and rethink our economies, which is also already said by Mr. Ranjadot as being dust to dust, what he said. It is, you cannot come to dust to dust if you only reduce, reuse, and recycle. So this is a fine discussion, maybe after my lecture, how to come there. And to ensure by 2030 also, and that's of course one of the major waste items, is the food waste in the retail and consumer levels to be reduced as much as possible. And of course, packaging, good packaging materials, support this W5 goal, because if you don't have the right packaging, you might gain in food waste, and this is from a sustainable point of view a bad thing to have. In the next slide, there are some responses over the world. Different countries and different continents have responded already on these kind of, let's say, global obligations to reduce the stress on the environment caused by merely the plastic packaging or plastic products. But looking at the different countries and parties, there is, to my opinion, still rather reluctant policy at the moment. European Union now is starting up with the Packaging and Waste Directive and has also a directive in to implement a ban on selected single-use plastics. It's the Single-Use Plastic Directive, which will be enforced this year in July. But most governments are not, let's say, acting quite efficient on regulate the packaging waste issues. The question is, can they do that, or do they have the knowledge to describe the right things, or do we have to work together with the industry to make steps towards sustainable economics? In the next slide, there is, please, can I have the next slide?
Next slide.
Next slide, please. Thank you. There you see that the big brand owners like Coca-Cola, Nestle, Colgate, Palmolive, Unilever, PepsiCo, and so on, they have a rather large plastic footprint. These are the figures that are found by, let's say, the pieces of plastic waste from the following companies found in the cleanup days, which are organized every year. And most of the cleanup issues are Coca-Cola and Nestle related. And these big brand owners, they feel a license to operate in the future. The license to operate in the future is connected with dealing with this problem. So all these big industries have made pledges to reduce or resource or recycle their products and their packaging products. And merely most of them want to be 100% recyclable in 2025 and want to reduce the amount of plastics in their packaging in 2030 by an amount of sometimes 20, sometimes 50%. Another phenomena is the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. You might have heard of that, and maybe you could also connect with them, because the Ellen MacArthur Foundation supports all these brands to make steps forwards. And this is a very growing organization heading for the circularity of the packaged economy. So Danone, Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, Mars, Lego, PepsiCo. Maybe you might also recognize some of the brands in your own country which are there. Nestle, of course. They are currently seeking for solutions, and we, as in the Netherlands, we also support them to find the right solutions based on scientific grounds. Can I have the next slide? But okay, that about the global perspective. If you look at the packaging dilemmas, and Mr. Ranjadar already mentioned some, we are struggling with three dilemmas, three considerations: the functionality, of course, the marketing and design considerations, and the environmental considerations. And these three forces are on a daily basis are important for the right decisions. You cannot make a decision only on one of the three aspects. You have to take them all into account. And in the next slide, please, next slide. It was already mentioned by the former speaker that the functionality of especially the food packaging materials, the flexibles, they contribute a lot to the sustainability of the food chain. Because if you don't have these kind of packaging materials available, then you might lose a lot of food. For example, the humble cucumber, which is always a product in the Netherlands to be discussed. Many consumers don't understand why we'll pack all these cucumbers and LDPE folies. And we have to explain them years after year that if we don't do that, merely most of the cucumbers will be waste before they can be consumed. So I think you all know that biological, biochemical, chemical, physical, and mechanical protection is needed to avoid spillage of goods and products. I don't want to spend more time on this because this is, I think, common sense also to this audience of this webinar. Please, can I have the next slide? Next slide, please. Yes, and the other aspect consideration is of marketing and design. And on the left side, you see a correlation between the income level, so the national gross income per capita in US dollars versus the amount of waste which is produced. And then you see a correlation between the poor or the lower economics and the richer societies. And the richer the society is, the more waste is generated. And of course, you can explain this by the richer part of the world has more access to products and to the different choices of food products, etc. So there is a relation between that. It's not rocket science in that term. This is not very new, but it is interesting to take into account that there where the most money is made, also the most waste is made. The key trends, there's a lot of key trends. I don't know if this is the same trends as in India, but there is an overall trend in society that people have less time in their daily practice. They have fewer shopping trips. They want it in portions. They want it all times fresh. We want to have more convenience, more functions in the packaging, and we are growing as a population. These are the key trends which are very important for, let's say, the growing of the packaging volume, and in consequences of prosperity as we spend more money on foods and products. And we are traveling all over the world. So if we go, for example, to Brazil or to India or Indonesia, and we come back to the Netherlands and say, wow, this was really fine good, this was fine food to eat. The next phase is we want all those foods also in our supermarkets, and therefore you need packaging. So having all the fruits, exotic fruits and products all over the world made in our own supermarkets, that is also the cause of the packaging stress in society. Environmental considerations are the third part of the considerations. It's very it's also already meant. You can of course use the life cycle analysis approach, which says something about the some environmental stresses. You can compare flexibles, plastics with glass or with paper, and you get different subjects and different outcomes. It is very important to consider that if you use life cycle analysis, that the outcomes of this analysis are very much dependent on what you choose as a system approach and what kind of data you put in that kind of calculation methods. Because if you put the rubbish in, you get the rubbish out, and it will not be the first time that an LCA analysis draws to the wrong conclusion. So please be careful with those. But other types of environmental considerations are not included in that kind of calculations. That is the future threat of the microplastics and nanoplastics, which are merely come from fragmentation of litter. The numbers in the graph are from the Netherlands. It's not a global number, but it's from the Netherlands. And also car tires and particles of paint and particles of pellets and cosmetics are causes microplastics. But we can measure microplastics in tissues and in organs in different species, also and unborn child species. In the Netherlands, we did last year an investigation on that, but still we don't know what the future risks are caused by these microplastics and nanoplastics. So, well, it makes me rather afraid from finding out that if we accumulate plastics in the environment as we do now, we might also heading a very severe, very big health problems in the future, because we don't know yet. This is what worries me as a person. And of course, plastic soup in the oceans and in the rivers is also a well-known stress which has to be solved in the next coming decades, next years. Please, the next slide. Well, this is a general slide. I want not to take much time for that. You can optimize your packaging strategy in terms of where is the optimum level of packaging, and if I use too less packaging, it's under packaging, so I damage the product. If I over package, it's and has an environmental impact which is not necessary. For example, in the e-commerce, there is currently a development that the overpacked boxes have to be reduced, because we pack a lot of air by sending small products in big boxes. So that's what we see in the Netherlands as an currently innovation. Please, the next slide. This is what let's say one of the main points of my presentation is where do we come from and where do we go to? And of course, if we go back in the past, and we see that we in the past we had hardly any biosphere contamination. For example, we borrowed organic substances, we made something of it and we gave it back, and it was quite in balance. We later on got into the gray circles due to the Industrial Revolution, which causes firstly a linear economy by making products from sources out of the environment and make waste, hazardous waste. We now are in the conscious that we want to recycle that and want to keep it as long as possible in the recycling world and in circularity. When in circularity you use more R values, which is in the letter on the other side of the slide, than only the recycling. But still, if you have the circularity track 2 available and fully implemented, you still have waste to the environment, because from a thermodynamical point of view, the material cycles cannot be closed fully. So if we want to go to dust solutions, what Mr. Ranjadar also said, we want to go back to what I call an intrinsic sustainable future. You might incorporate recycling and the circularity principles also in innovate towards new systems or new molecules, new polymers, which do not have a hazardous consequence in the environment. We have some bio-based and biodegradables currently available in our polymer mix, but they are not degrading fast enough in the environment. They are still there, and they can still cause microplastics and nanoplastics. So we are working on it. There are few companies also trying to find out whether we can make new polyester materials which can degrade more fastly in the environment and have their performance as a package material as well. These are the future promises, but you can also use other type of materials than plastic. And if you look at the ladder on the right side and you see the 3 strategies, 1, 2, and 3, then strategy 1 is the linear economy. Strategy 2 is the recycling and the circular economy. But on top of that, we have to work on the strategy 3, that is to go to the intrinsically sustainable development of packaged goods and packaged materials, which is a crystal ball, more or less, because I don't have all the solutions on strategy 3, but we have to be conscious that our innovation path should grow to that level. So the next slide, please. What is recyclability? If we go to the track 1, we can look at only the material and say, well, my PET bottle is recyclable for fully 100%. But if it is not organized in a collection system, in a recycling system, and in the second life system, then we don't call it recyclable. And this is also stated by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. Recyclability of packaging is only valid if it is organized in a system where it's really also recycled and where the recyclates are also used in new products. The next slide shows how we do it in the Netherlands. I hope this will work.
More and more people separate plastic waste. In most Dutch municipalities, plastic waste is collected separately. But what happens with it? First, the waste is collected at a regional location. Big pieces of waste that don't belong there are taken out. The remaining waste is then brought to a hyper-modern sorting installation in Rotterdam. Here, Suez sorts plastic packing material, cans and drink cartons to make them suitable for recycling. The plastic waste is fully automatically sorted in 5 types of plastic. A drum sieve with different sized holes first sorts the waste by size. Light materials like foil are transported to another conveyor belt. By shaking, flat and 3-dimensional shapes are separated. The remaining waste is sorted by using infrared light. After the sorted plastic is checked, it's stored by type in storage bunkers. When a bunker is full, it's automatically emptied. The plastic is pressed in bales by type and prepared for transport to different processing plants. One of these processing plants is Plastic Factory QCP in Geleen. Here, they produce resources for new products from plastic waste. The sorted plastic is shredded first and then washed intensively. In a big machine, the mixed flakes are then processed to uniform granules. Plastics out of these resources are just as good as plastics made from oil. From these resources, new products can be made. Like here at Roermann in Germany. The plastic granules are sucked up, melted, and processed into a tube. The soft plastic tubes are cut to size. In a metal mold, they get the desired shape. The remaining material is cut off and reused. After the plastic bottles are filled with hot air to check the density, they are ready to use. Via the supermarket, the packing material is returned to the consumer as a new product. So it comes full circle. In this way, we save scarce resources and work on a better future together.
Thank you. Next slide. Okay, this is a rather modern facility to recycle plastics and to sort it out. Sorting is one of the major points in the whole cycle. But even having this, let's say, sorting and collection and recycling system, the recycling rates in the Netherlands, also in Europe, are still rather poor. In the Netherlands, currently we have a 52% of recycling rate of plastic, but this is the amount of recycling rates which is measured by weighting the amount of plastic at the entrance of the recycling facility. And the European Union is shifting this measure point to the end of the recycling facility, which will reduce the numbers even to a lower level. So in fact, what we do recycle is about 35 to 40% of the whole plastic packaging material. And this is also why recycling also will contribute to a circular economy, but it will not exceed, to my opinion, to a level higher than 50%. Please go to the next slide. Yes.
May I request you to wind up fast because we are running out of time. Yeah.
Yes, I will speed up a little bit.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I will.
You just have two more slides. You go.
Yes. What is the circularity?
Yeah.
These are the other R values. We have the Loop initiative from TerraCycle from America, already implemented in different countries, which is a reuse scheme. You can use the products and then you can fill it. You can deliver it again. And the next slide, then the innovation track 3. This is what some examples of what I call intrinsic sustainability. These are non-packaged goods like cosmetics or soaps. Sometimes you have also shops with no packaging, and the eggs are also packed here in starch-based packaged material, which is home compostable. So the refuse and the rethink items are part of the track 3. Next slide, please.
I think done.
Yes, this is the Pack Forward movement. This is an international platform we started this year. You can go to packforward.eu to contribute and to share knowledge with other institutes in the world. We have European parts. We go to the USA. We want also to have the India organizations over there. And I would like to end with my last movie to have a short conclusion of what I said in this lecture. So you can skip the next slide and go to the last slide. Yes, this is what I could skip. And then the last slide.
Packaging is everywhere. The KIDV currently launched the State of Sustainable Packaging. This publication elaborates the functions, developments, and problems of packaging and explores on how we effectively can improve the quantity and quality of recycling and work towards a circular economy and intrinsically sustainable solutions. We simply cannot continue using current packaging methods, but we cannot abandon all packaging either. In order to pack forward, we need a threefold innovation strategy. The first track of this strategy is already set in motion and running full speed in leading countries. It involves improvements to waste collection, sorting and recycling systems, as well as improvements to packaging design and efficient use of materials. The second track is about how to realize circularity as much as possible instead of closing loops merely by recycling waste. For example, increasing the level of recycled materials used in new packaging and products, or implementing efficiency principles such as reuse, repair, and refurbish. Since we will not be able to close the material loop for the full 100%, we need a third track in which the material streams must become biosphere compatible and non-polluting. A clear one-way solution and approach won't happen overnight, but will influence the way we produce and consume. Promising examples already taking place towards realizing this crucial and challenging step are packaging made of potato peelings and paper fibers, a capsule of shampoo in a reusable bottle instead of single-use bottles, and laser branding of organic fruits and vegetables instead of using plastic packaging. Packaging is an integral part of our future. We can't live with it, and we can't go without it. Therefore, together, we should make it intrinsically sustainable.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Chris. Now, I would request Mr. Manchanda, if there is any question, maybe we can entertain one question because there must be a lot of questions for this. I'm just seeing a lot of questions out there. Anyone that you could choose?
The chat box, Manchanda, chat box, yeah.
Check box.
From Mr. Vijay Kumar Sinha. His comment is waste segregation and waste collection shall be complex problems with rural-urban divide. How can government incentivize waste collection from rural areas and where less waste will be collected at higher cost? Formulating policy for waste collection for recycling shall remain a challenge. On this. So the difference between the rural-urban divide.
I didn't quite hear it because it was rather soft, but
yeah.
The question was, how can somebody is speaking also?
No, everybody can be mute, yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, it is a rather difficult question because it depends on your. I think it depends on your local or your national situation. What kind of interventions governments can take. And in the Netherlands, we have some regulations on that, and in Europe as well. The extended responsibility scheme, as we apply, is that the producers and importers they have to pay for the collection and sorting and recycling of waste. So a part of the money which is collected is spent on the costs of the collection system by the municipality. So via the waste fund, the sorting costs and the collection costs are compensated. And so there's a mixture of legislation or descriptions, and there is also in the municipalities sometimes also a differentiation in having people separation in households by giving them different bins and let them pay for the rest waste. So you can more or less push some behavior if you want.
Okay.
I don't know if that was the answer of the question because at the half of the question I couldn't understand, but
yes, there is a sound problem actually.
There's a sound problem, and also it's very much pertaining to the Indian scenario. Okay, so the economics of waste management works very differently in India. So I have given you some inputs. You can go through that. But basically, I think we should wind up. I should thank Chris just to have taken his time off to be with us, and I hope you really enjoyed the session. And we look forward to having more interaction with you in future.
Thank you very much for having me, and I wish you all luck and very success in the future with this initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Lakshmi, could you please present a memento to the plenary speakers?
Yeah, that's your memento.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having taken time off to come and address us. And we look forward to having long-term association and understanding certain concepts which we can imbibe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
China, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have a pleasure to introduce Mr. Subhash Bhattacharjee, who was the former director, Naramac Limited, Ministry of Donor, Government of India. He is having 38 years of rich experience in marketing of processed food product. He is an alumni of CFTRI, Mysore, Kansas State University, USA, and presently consultant to CFTRI, Northeast Guwahati. Mr. Bhattacharjee will highlight about future training programs would be conducted by FIPS. Therefore, I would request him to please do the honor.
Good afternoon, everybody. It was a solemnizing day today. The foundation of innovative packaging and sustainability has formally been inaugurated today. And as the session goes, I have been asked to talk about those, what are the topics, what we have planned immediately to take forward. And on that context, as you know, the ABC components of our sustainability of this innovative packaging and all that, we have conceived 3 ideas to give innovative packaging mainly, and then go for training for skill initiative, and also take forward some of the activities in a bigger way. So considering those situations, what we propose is that we take up few programs immediately. In case you don't have the slide, I can talk about it. What we have planned, immediately to the foundation has already signed MOU with 6 groups, and to take it forward. Hello. What we have planned is that in the month of February, on the 15th of Feb, we have started a session for technological advancement in sustainable food packaging with USTM Meghalaya. That will be a webinar basically to provide support base to the institute and its branches, students, and also some of the entrepreneurs who are joining in the session. Followed by that, we have a MOU sort of discussions already been held with PhDCCI Delhi, similarly with the Northeastern chapter. And we are thinking of taking up some programs for sustainable packaging and environmental issues on 26th Feb. On the first week of March, we have a discussion with the University of Mizoram, Central University in the state of Mizoram, on innovations in food packaging. Will be taking up on during the discussion. Followed by that, all of you have today seen that DG Nectar has also signed an MOU with Fips, and with Nectar, we are planning to do subsequently 2 programs, one in Agartala, followed by one in Shillong. Basically, for Shillong program, it is packaging innovations for self-help women's group, and for Agartala, packaging innovations for the entrepreneurs who are dealing in different activities on fruits and vegetables, mainly in this part of the country. Besides that, for the month of April, we have lined up one program with the National Institute for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise, Hyderabad. Again, a webinar basically to start with innovative packaging for MSME sector. As you understood, that Fips has planned in the coming 3 to 4 months around 12 programs. So next 2 months program I'm just highlighting here, which has been mota-moti finalized, tentatively fixed up. And keeping that in mind, we wish we'll be able to be breakthrough in many of those bottlenecks, which part of Northeast and also Pan-India gets for FMCG sector mainly, and also the fresh fruits and vegetables. So these are the few things which I thought I should highlight as desired by the fixed board of directors, and we'll take up that in the stipulated dates. Thank you. Thank you, friends.
Yes, Saina. Saina.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I shall also invite Mr. Rahul Bhargava, Chief Consultant Innovations, who has already been introduced. As I mentioned that he looks after innovations activities at Foundation, I shall invite Mr. Rahul Bhargava to highlight about innovations areas of Foundations.
Hi. Besides training and skill development program shared by Subhashji, the areas where we all are eager to work and where you can contact us is with respect to innovative packaging. The projects that we can look at are the development of novel packaging for consumer convenience and brand building. We can also evaluate product freshness, stability, and safe transportation through use of material science. Third area could be help products stand out for brand growth, success, and protection. I mean, it can be anti-counterfeiting measures and other things that can be part of the package. Fourth area could be improve product dispensing and build safety features, meeting global regulations. The other area can be offer sustainable and cost-effective solutions, because there is always the pressure on packaging to reduce the overall cost of the product. So this is another area that we can help the organizations. And the final area it can be reduce wastages and improve productivity with high quality shop floor packaging processes, because that's one area where we see a lot of wastages and can cut down the wastages over here and improve the overall cost model for the product. These are the 6 areas where the innovative packaging can play a role. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Saina.
Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I am pleased to introduce Mr. Shailendra Singh, Chief Consultant Sustainability. He is a strategist of sustainability to reduce the impact of climate change on business model. He is also the founder and CEO of Sustain Mantra for Sustainable Development and Circularity. Now, may I request Mr. Shailendra sir to summing up the webinar.
Yeah, so first, good evening to all the participants, and particularly a big thank you to the 2 plenary speakers. Asking me to sum up what seemed to me like, master class on innovative packaging and sustainability is not an easy task. But as I went through and heard both the presentations, whilst there are a lot of uniqueness about India as a market, there are also a lot of commonalities that I heard in both Mr. Chitranjan Dhar's presentation and Professor Chris's presentation. So both of them talked about the packaging conundrum. That's the word Chitranjan Dhar used, and the packaging dilemma that I heard Professor Chris talk about. And it was very clear that there are still a lot of gaps that need to be addressed, whether that's in the form or shape of design of packaging, the utilization of packaging, and then also what you do with it towards the end of life, and how do you bring circularity into play. Clearly, sustainability is here to stay, and it was very, very heartening to see great examples from the Indian context as well as from the global context. So I couldn't help but feel that, what the platform offered today was a microcosm of what the universe really is, in which we really live. All of us are consumers. We have people from industry. We have people from academia. We had also people who have done prior roles in governments. And so almost all the stakeholders were present. It was very heartening to also know, and this is where FIPS is extremely focused on, is how do we take all the knowledge, the academic research, and then apply it to real life problems, whilst making sure that we are serving the consumer needs, we are being compliant with what the environment needs, and then also not forgetting creation of social capital in the process. Clearly, there are exciting times ahead. A lot of work that my colleagues, Mr. Bhattacharjee and Rahul, mentioned about the activities coming up. We, on behalf of everybody on FIPS, particularly our member directors, we are committed to this, and we want to roll up our sleeves and get to work. So you'll be hearing more and more exciting news from our side, whether in form of a webinar or a training program. But wanted to also assure you that the enthusiasm and energy is at an all-time high. We seek your blessings and your continued support. And with that, I hope I've done a fair job of summing up the last hour and a half. And I wish all of you, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant evening or afternoon, as the case may be, ahead. Thank you very much for spending your time with us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. It was a pleasure to be the host of this launch program. Thank you so much, Professor Saha. Well, I would request all of you, our website is live now. To know more, you can visit our